Welcome to the play-in knockout stage here at MSI 2019, where home favorites Phong Buffalo gear up for our first best-of-5 series against Team Liquid. Hello, everyone, and welcome to MSI Countdown, where we break down key picks, look at players to watch, and give the rundown on the first international event of 2019 until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champions Select. These two have been hard at it here over the past week.
Well, don't tell him. I've been in the office every day.
I've seen him in the office.
The reason is also my premiere as well. But
look, Mark has to think a lot, all right, for his
the moral support. Very, very clear here.
I gotta be here for my guy. All right, MSI 2019 is well underway as we saw Phong Buffalo and Vegas Squadron advance from the play-in group stage just this last week.
Yeah, Vegas Squadron dominated Group B, absolutely blowing them out of the water. Only loss was after they already kind of secured their position and doing it with a lot of interesting picks.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it's not a controversial opinion to say that Group A was the more stacked group.
Yes.
It felt like there were a lot of fan favorites in that group, but eventually it was Phong Buffalo's much faster paced games in Group A, whereas Group B was kind of really decided about these very creative picks and compositions.
From here, we move forward to the knockout stage, and in the knockout stage, we'll have 3 best-of-5 series, with the winners joining Invictus Gaming, SKT, and G2 Esports in the group stage. The losers of today's matches will face off tomorrow for that 6th and final spot.
Which means we will have at least one of these emerging regions teams advancing because, you know, 3 spots, 4 teams, do the math.
Boom. We can do that. We can do that math here on air right now. Today's second series has Vegas Squadron looking to continue their solid play going into the knockout stage.
And Vegas Squadron, I think they kind of surprised a lot of people. You know, when you look at Group B, no one was really quite sure who was going to inch that one out, but they were just definitively head and shoulders better than the rest of the competition, only dropping a single game.
And it was impressive, too, because it was the squad's first Riot International tournament that they've attended, as well as the fact that 4 of them have never played internationally before, Santos being the only guy who's been on that stage. And so to come out and dominate a group in such a way, it's very impressive for so many new players.
Right, as you mentioned, undefeated going into that final game, but having already locked their spot for the knockout stage. Vega is new to the international stage. Flash Wolves, though, on the other hand, their opponent, they've been here before. They're a mainstay at MSI and Worlds over the past few years, and in addition to their dominance on home soil.
Yeah, Flash Wolves, you know, people recognize the name a lot, but you need to recognize that this is a pretty different roster, all things considered. They have such a long history that you just kind of assume it's the same team time and time again. You see them at Worlds Quarters 2015, all these group stage events, all these MSIs, semifinals even, so you know that they have this long history of international success.
And it just speaks to kind of the premier organization from the LMS, the fact that they can keep changing the recipe, but they still are delivering when it counts. So making MSI repeatedly, this is one of the international events that Flash Wolves tend to do very well at versus something like Worlds. So I have good expectations for Flash Wolves.
But we talk about the history of the Flash Wolves. The cornerstones of their success over these past years are no longer with the lineup. You have Hanabi and Betty, the only returning members from last year's MSI lineup.
And so the key thing is you've lost people like Karsa, you've lost Maple, you've lost Sword Art. So you just have these two, your AD carry and your top laner, to play around. And that fundamentally changes how the Flash Wolves are now approaching the game. They are much more about their side lanes. Hanabi, because he is naturally a carry-oriented top laner, it feels like the team is slightly skewed that way, but Betty is just so damn consistent.
And that's what's really impressive, is that they have been able to kind of deal with that turnover. They were tested a lot more this year, it feels like, in the LMS. You know, they did have a really hard-fought 5-game series in their semifinals, but they did come out on top. They even had to swap their junglers, which they brought both here, so you might see even some of that come through. They didn't use them very often, so probably not going to be the case, but this is a roster that has had to adapt despite how similar the name is.
And it'll be great to get a look at them finally on the international stage here after those number of changes. Of course, that series will follow shortly after our first matchup, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you're wondering why on earth Nautilus is being played in the mid lane, we'll dive deeper into that after the break, along with other key picks. So don't touch that browser. welcome back to the MSI Countdown, where we're making our way towards Champion Select ahead of our first series of the day, Team Liquid versus Phong Vu Buffalo. To help us break down the MSI meta so far, though, we're going to send it over to a completely original, never-before-seen segment by none other than Mark Zimmerman.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Mark Z's picks to keep an eye on because they've recently been buffed or nerfed, which makes them viable. Because they've recently been buffed or nerfed, which makes them viable in pro. Are they viable in pro? Some people have already played these, so probably. We'll find out. Let's jump right into it. This week, the pick is Nautilus mid. Back to you, Dash.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, no problem.
That was very insightful. So, Nautilus mid.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah, it's a pick that we should keep our eye on.
Yeah.
How about that pick?
Picks to watch. So, Nautilus mid. The thing is, I feel like whenever you're loading in like hard CC on a champion, wave clear on a champion, the fact that he has a lot of decent matchups, that he does still have flexibility in terms of his positioning. He can be played in support. He can be played in that mid lane. It kind of just puts you over the top, which is why he's really started to make a splash, if you will, at this MSI.
Oh God, I know the puns are gonna come out of you.
I'm ready.
But he is really interesting because he did receive a couple small buffs, like his Q damage was increased, his passive root went up, he got a little bit of armor. It's one of those things that over time he just became very powerful, abuses aftershock like a lot of strong mid laners, and has good matchups into a lot of the melee or immobile mid laners.
I think what's really interesting is how his priority will change. Like right now at MSI, we do see him crop up, but he's not like 100% pick or ban, like first priority snap lock.
But could he get there?
Maybe if someone comes onto the stage and just starts slamming with him.
Yeah, it's hard to say because it feels like some of the more traditional, longer range DPS mages can probably deal with him just fine if they can stay out of some of his hook range.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Of course, one thing that we have seen in the past and are continuing to see here is Sona Taric in the bot lane, and it is having quite an effect on Champion Select overall.
Yeah, in the playing stage of the groups, like all throughout, you're always seeing red side Taric ban unless you're leaving it up because you want to play into it, because you know the other team's going to pick it for the most part. It's still super high presence, very good win rate, 66% here, but across the globe, everyone was playing it, and it just deals with so many things in the current meta so well.
And for me, it's really interesting that when you're drafting against it, it used to be like when Xayah and Rakan were so strong that you could at least split them up. That if you saw Rakan priority, you would just take away the Xayah. It's not the same with Sona Taric. If Taric comes in, even if you could pick it away, you're like, I guess I just give it to him. Like, I just gotta watch this happen to me. And it's about what counters that you then bring, which we've seen the likes of like a nuke Zoe, or even trying to contest it for kill-oriented lanes by bringing out things like a Blitzcrank.
Either way, if you're going to leave it up, you better have a plan to deal with it. Lastly, I want to talk about Hecarim, one of the champions that seems to have found a bit of a home here at MSI in the top lane.
Yeah, and I think it's been coming, like bubbling up a little bit across different regions, and it's finally kind of hitting the main part, but it feels like more top lane than jungle, which is surprising. It does have a lot of good matchups into a lot of melee champions, the W sustain, the Q damage that can ramp up on a wave, all that's really strong. So you can see there, basically 60, 70% of the time it's in the top lane.
Yeah, and I feel like that is because of the amount of gold that you're able to get out of the lane versus something like the jungle. He still does have a very expensive build if he wants to be that carry-oriented Hecarim going for the Trinity Force, and that's why you'll usually see him up there, but he can be played in the jungle.
And especially with the Sona Taric, like a lot of people like comboing it with that because he gives you an engaged threat with the Sona Taric, because Sona Taric for the most part is not very strong in lane. It's more about countering what enemy comps can do. You want to poke us, we have heal. You want to engage, we have this Taric ultimate, but they need some help to start their own fights often, and that's what Hecarim brings in spades.
And I think in some ways Hecarim is kind of just the tip of the iceberg of a larger conversation, which is that around top lane and top lane meta. Because there has been, in previous patches, a couple of changes to a number of tanks that have basically been made an effort of getting tanks into the meta, but they're not quite finding their way onto the stage here at MSI. Still very top lane carry-centric so
I think
far.
that was kind of the big question. I think it's indicative of the players that are at this tournament, but you are correct. You had buffs going, or changes and buffs going to the likes of Shin, the likes of ÖiÄN. You had Sejuani that was probably going to make a bigger presence. So you thought that there was going to be more of an emphasis on kind of like tanky top part of the map, but because it is still these carry champions, I don't know if that's going to shift maybe when the other teams join them, but if you have like Khan, Wonder, the Shy, probably not.
Yeah, that's why it's like
They're not being relegated to ÖiÄN?
Is tanks not strong enough, or we just have such good carry players that for the most part they're playing that? That's what's interesting with the Team Liquid matchup coming up, is they probably have the most tank-focused top lane player almost remaining in the tournament.
But we even saw in the LCS playoffs alone, they were kind of pushing Impact back towards that carry meta, maybe in anticipation of exactly the matchups he'll find himself in at this tournament. Dracos and Azael, though, they'll be bringing you the first series of the day, Team Liquid versus Phong Buffalo. So let's get their thoughts on that matchup.
Thank you very much, Dash. Of course, very excited for the first best of 5 of MSI 2019, and it's good that you guys bring up the top lane meta discussion. So when we look at the specific players, Zeros versus Impact, what do we think is going to unfold here? Is Impact going to be the first guy to play some of these tanks?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the question on everyone's mind, right? He has traditionally been known in North America as a tank player. That being said, in the semifinals against FlyQuest, in the finals against TSM, he was on the carries. He was performing both against Viper and Broken Blade, and really kind of emphasizing that style. You have to think, though, when he is going up against Zeros, who is such a star for the Phong Buffalo, for Vietnam, that is something that they may be looking to target. When you're in a carry versus carry matchup, hey, this can be pretty volatile. So it does give opportunities for guys like Meliodas to get up there to try to affect this 1v1, because traditionally, Team Liquid like to spend most of their resources being said in the semifinals against FlyQuest, in the finals against TSM, he was on the carries, he was performing both against Viper and Broken Blade, really kind of emphasizing that style. You have to think, though, when he is going up against Zeros, who is such a star for the Phong Buffalo, for Vietnam, that is something that they may be looking to target. When you're in a carry versus carry matchup, hey, this can be pretty volatile. So it does give opportunities for guys like Meliodas to get up there to try to affect this 1v1, because traditionally, Team Liquid like to spend most of their resources being said in the semifinals against FlyQuest, in the finals against TSM, he was on the carries, he was performing both against Viper and Broken Blade. When he is going up against Zeros, who is such a star for the Phong Buffalo, for Vietnam, that is something that they may be looking to target. When you're in a carry versus carry matchup, hey, this can be pretty volatile. So it does give opportunities for guys like Meliodas to get up there to try to affect this 1v1, because traditionally, Team Liquid like to spend most of their in the semifinals against FlyQuest, in the finals against TSM, he was on the carries, he was performing both against Viper and Broken Blade. When he is going up against Zeros, who is such a star for the Phong Buffalo, for Vietnam.
Mấy ông cái chat bạn thế nhỉ? Ok. Có picker à? Trailer mà đi vui vãi, thích vãi em.
Once you decide where you stand, we'll be waiting.
Cái mic của mình như sao nó hơi rè rè á. Cảnh tổng hôm nay chút nhiều đâu ngủ. Bạn này cho mình xin cho bạn này. Chị nhá. Alo, nghe anh em chưa? Tôi chả nghe ông ấy nói gì cả. Tôi tập phân như ra áo thôi. Còn 4-5 giây nữa mới đánh cơ. Ui, sự kiện mới à, MSI ở trong liên minh điện thoại này. Bây giờ tôi vào liên minh. Trang phục Arita chinh phục và chính thức vé thương lửa. Ô, bây giờ nó không mở ấy nữa. Hay quá. Double lead. Alo, nghe rồi nhá. Đâu hơi bé. Nghe thấy rồi nhá. Chào người anh em. Đây chơi về rồi nhá. Đi chơi về rồi à? Thế à? Lấy được điện thoại nào? Và xem MSI Sơn đây. MSI Sơn. Và xem MSI đi. Phong Vũ chuẩn bị đánh đây, vào xem không? Đây xem tao, cho anh Sơn cả cả.
那我们就是 MSI 赛区冠军来到 MSI 这就是三项的传承。
Ui,
Mọi người đã từng rất ấn tượng.
ở số điện thoại ta, nếu mà không biết mà có thể hỏi.
Chúng tôi có nhiều chiến thuật đặc biệt, nhưng chúng tôi chưa thực sự.
Nếu tôi biết thì thôi. Quân phải đọc cho bạn Sơn rồi. Nếu mà Quân nếu muốn đọc thì thôi. 0982
我想带领新的狼群，带着龙
027 63 một mình có ai không? Chất lượng váy lồn rồi. Tàu căng thì Việt Nam nó có đấy. Vâng, tí đi rút tiền ra đi.
2 năm trở thành thêm một đội Việt Nam danh từ quốc tế. Giờ đây trong
Thời gian ngân hàng hả?
chúng tôi trở thành một người chiến thắng thật sự.
Tao ra Agribank cơ.
Team Liquid versus
Đấy, thích
Phong
đi
Vu
cùng
Buffalo
Sơn được
is
không?
right around the corner.
Giờ thì ta thích muốn để Sơn đi trước, chúng ta đi sau được không? Như thế nó thì kéo dài thời gian đéo cho Quân đi học bạn ạ. Đi không? Bạn thấy tôi trực thời gian một chút đi.
A spot top 6, starting with our LCS MVP, Core JJ.
Yeah, it's impossible not to talk
Cảm
about
thấy
this
là
guy,
sạc của máy tôi
especially
mà
in the
nó
context
yếu
of
vãi lồn
MSI,
rồi, sạc mấy bạn
because
cho nó
last
vào.
time Team Liquid was here last year, Ole famously benched himself, having, you know, the confidence issues, and the whole
Đấy, lấy
team
cái dây
kind
này
of fell
sao?
apart a little bit after that. They almost
Đấy.
rallied, but now you have a world champion stepping in, a guy who's, like you said, your MVP, so much international experience, and it's hard to imagine a similar breakdown coming from him, so they want to see, all fans want to know, how is Core JJ going to
Mày máy mày đi.
double it now to hopefully greater heights?
And that's the key thing for me. It's and double it. The fact that TL are so much about their bot lane, that double it is such a strong ADC, and now he has a very strong support next to him, just kind of takes this bot lane to a completely different level.
I mean, he's quite literally played in the highest pressure scenario in the face of professional
mấy
League
mấy
of
thằng
Legends.
mình
And
viên
so
đang
when
nói
you talk
cái
about,
gì nhỉ anh
you
em
know,
nhỉ?
who he's replacing
Cái tiếng
and,
Anh.
and what happened last time around at MSI 14, look
Ê,
at it was a
Tài ông nghe được
confidence
mấy thằng
issue.
bình luận
It was
tiếng Anh
a
nói cái gì không?
pressure moment where they weren't able to live up to it. You're now literally bringing in one of the best suited players in a sense to fill that position.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it too is Doubles has always
Uầy,
felt
tôi
like,
thấy
you
là
know,
nó
I
chất.
kind of have to lead the lane.
Tôi
Like
thích
that.
mỗi kiểu tóc của nó
Core
thôi.
JJ, he is such a powerhouse in his own. It's a lot more about taking the backseat.
Sơn ơi, mày thấy thế nào vậy thằng con dây dây?
Having slightly better international performances last
Uầy,
time we were
cũng được á,
seeing out of him.
bắt được á.
So now it's like, all right, is he really going to finally break into like complete international success? Because they have not made it out of a group stage in MSI.
Đôi khi cuộc sống các bạn, tiền nhiều không phải quan trọng đâu, nó phải chinh to cơ. Đúng rồi đấy. Này kẹo tao ấy, đừng có ăn kẹo tao. Nếu mày ăn mày phải ăn cả hộp. Còn nhiều mà ăn đi, chơi tiếp thôi. Ê, mày có biết cái trò đá bi không? Trò bắn bi không? Đá bi không? Biết ạ. Hôm nào tao dạy mày đá bi cho quân đấy.
Oh, I think thoroughly. That's actually an interesting matchup because for Team Liquid, Smithy had been a little bit
Loa mày.
when they were
Bật loa.
some of the regular season slumps. It was almost always like, oh, the jungle got blown up. And if you're going up against Meliodas, it's not quite the one-on-one killing Smithy in the jungle like you say. He gets more to other
Ê, chúng mày có link của Phi Huyền Trang chưa?
bigger impact in the early game than Smithy does have. And
Có à?
sometimes
Chưa nào có à?
potential area for him.
Có chia sẻ tao với nhá. Ê, ai có link của Phi Huyền Trang chia sẻ tôi tắt à? Uầy. Đấy, ông về chat, bạn có sẵn lên. Mày gửi tao đi mày.
A quick look at the second series of the day and a couple key players that might sway that matchup. I want to start for Flash Wolves rather in the mid lane. Not a recognizable name for the organization of Flash Wolves as we talked about previously in this segment, but definitely a pivotal play.
He's not known for his flashy laning. He does have a bit of a smaller champion pool, likes to play a lot of push-oriented champions, but he is an excellent team fighter. And when push comes to shove, Flash Wolves can be some of the best team fighters in the world on their day, and it is because of this guy. Now, one of their kind of like late-game insurance policies, Hail Mary, they
Đang xem stream Phi Huyền Trang. Thì đúng mà bạn.
Okay, rather, our mid laner, team fight god. Just wait for him.
Đôi khi mình phải hit hard drama.
Way before they kind of really blew
Bây giờ đã đánh đâu?
was the predecessor to Toby for that roster, so he's definitely got some chops on him.
Yeah, super fun back there. Lastly,
Say
Gadget
that.
in the bot lane over there for Vòng.
I mean, this guy is such a wild card in the bot lane. His champion pool is unlike anyone else's seemingly right now. He's playing Nico in the bot lane, he's playing Arthas in the bot lane, he's doing all these crazy things, and it's such a weird thing to have to deal with in what feels like a pretty standard meta bot lane.
And you don't often see kind of the mastery over that many bizarre champions. Usually when someone kind of has deep champion pools like this, they're using the edge that you don't know how to play that matchup. And they don't have to have perfect mastery over it, but they can catch you off guard and abuse that. This guy looks so clean on picks like the Heimer, on picks like the Arthas and the Nico. He's very clearly a master of these champions. He's put in the time, and it looks sick to watch.
So the question will be, how does Flash Wolves then respond to the unique picks that he is likely to pull out today? Ahead of game one, though, let's send it over to Rip. Chatted with Kane about the pressure, competing against the home crowd favorites to start MSI.
I had a chance to catch up with TL's coach Kane before their match today, and I wanted to ask him what was their main focus after finals. He said two things. One, we want to widen everyone's champion pool, and two, we want to be much more aggressive on the Rift, finding fights everywhere, controlling the lanes, and controlling the game. I also wanted to ask him how they feel finally getting to bring the team international after being so outspoken. He said, it feels great. We are very confident about the matchup, and there's not much pressure internationally. If we play our game, the wins will follow. Back to you.
Confident, citing not much pressure, but also talking about maybe a slight adjustment in play style, saying they'd like to be more aggressive and pick earlier fights, control the map. Let's dive into how that might interact with a team like Phong Buffalo, because yeah, as I expected, I see some worried looks on my
You
end.
see all the NA guys just like, oh no.
I don't know if that's the right call. After a hard-fought victory against TSM in the LCS Finals, Team Liquid are back on the international stage, looking for more success this time around with some new players.
Yeah, we already hit on core JJ a lot, but you can't forget about Jensen coming in the mid lane. So many of the problems for Team Liquid have been kind of around Cobalt in their previous two international performances. He's a great
Alo, nghe thì nói gì không?
does feel like he gets picked apart a little bit, and Jensen is the best, most successful international mid
Ông có
laner
nghe thấy mic tôi không?
ever had. So you put him on a team with Double It and poor JJ.
Nghe thấy nó khác gì không?
Get dominated now 3 splits in a row in North America. Feel like they're finally ready to break through on the international stage.
And I feel like Jensen's kind of been running away from some of these quiet whispers about like can he handle these high pressure situations. And I feel like putting down a Korean team in Korea and now having the opportunity to clap back at the Vietnamese hometown heroes, I think it's really time for Jensen to put it to bed and say, no, I am an international fight and you will respect me.
He promised Double It that he'd carry him out of groups, and Double It carried him to a domestic title. So, step 1 complete. Step 2 still needs to happen. Their opponents today, though, are the hometown favorites, as was mentioned, Phong Buffalo, who will have to crowd back to as they try to build on Vietnam's international legacy.
And we do need to take into account that idea of like the sixth man. This is probably going to be very stacked for Phong Buffalo. They are a very hypey team. When it gets going, it gets very bloody. It turns into an all-out brawl. And a lot of times when we do see kind of more, especially in TL, a more methodical kind of slower controlled game, when it starts getting down and dirty, that's when things can go sideways.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of their hometown favorite, not just in like, oh, they're in Vietnam, obviously home country, but this is actually their representative a lot of times. It's the second straight international tournament they've been to. They're kind of the clear-cut best team. They had a pretty tough time in groups, all things considered. They did have to go that tiebreaker game versus Fenerbahce, and that's when you can maybe say, okay, the sixth man really did matter there. The fact that they got that extra energy from their crowd after a really long day where they had to take 4 hours off in the middle for some of the routine games happen. So I think that can matter a lot in a long series.
Yeah, and I do think that a lot of people will point to previous meetings between North America and Vietnam. Just in general, when we talk about Vietnam, a lot of people will perhaps remember the gig by Marines and their quick, aggressive, and wild play style. I'm not sure we'll go so far as the 5-minute level 6 nocturne gank into the bot lane, but as you mentioned, Frost, it is a very fast-paced team, and that's where I want to return to the comments that Riv made around talking to Kane, in that if TL wants to start playing more aggressively, is that actually the right decision into a team like Phong Buffalo?
I mean, it feels like just kind of a gut check on, what is that actual gap between our major regions and our emerging regions, because the VCS is climbing up very quickly, because they don't need to rely just on when you saw it go to now to Phong Buffalo, they play standard.
Thử gọi trên map á, bởi vì cái gì nhỉ? Cái bản của ông ấy tôi vẫn, cái bản alo của ông ấy tôi chẳng nghe là cân cạc gì cả. Có bị làm sao ấy?
And whatnot. So I want to get some win conditions on the board to maybe distill this down into something that we can focus on and point to when we're talking about these teams. Mark, we're going to start with you.
It's pretty simple. Don't bench yourselves. Make sure you get onto the rift.
That's all it takes.
No, I'm kidding. I think
to the stage.
The main thing is remain calm and play your game, because like we're saying, you're playing against a team that does play a much faster game. VCS is the fastest region in the world. Yes, Phong are not quite as fast as the rest of them, but they're still all that kind of stuff. And so stay calm.
Yeah, but it's all been laid out. So now, where does your faith lie? In which of these teams, who will be the first to move on to the group stages?
This may shock.
Mấy ông bình luận viên vẫn đang trên ngồi chấm gió. Bạn biết bình luận viên mà nói gì không?
Where Phong Buffalo could find an edge or make a difference, you still think it will be a shutout in favor of the North American squad?
I think so, but it is possible you lose the game. I think Phong is very explosive and that can happen, but I'm going to bet against it.
Do you think it changes? Like, now that you've heard that Team Liquid are going to try to play more aggressive, or suddenly you're like, oh, maybe that's a game?
Trong lúc anh em
Maybe, because they have, like we said, they have been playing more carries in the playoffs and these kinds of things. There are the volatile matchups. Meliodas is great, so I think there are the right, components for an upset in a game, but not the first series at all.
All right, Frost, what's your prediction?
I'm also sitting on a 3-0 for TL. But my faith is that they would play it controlled. I just thought that they would have more experience. You have so much international experience stacked onto this roster right now, bringing in a world champion. The mistakes that had previously held them back in MSI League. Let's not forget, when they were running Ale and Cobelter, they took down RNG. Like, that is a very similar team to what Phong Buffalo can throw, and I think the pieces
I'm going to ask your same question to you. After hearing Kane's remarks around maybe a slight adjustment to the playstyle, are you concerned, or would you be more willing to adjust that to a 3-1 or set?
I think if Zeros was having a better tournament, not that he's having a bad tournament, it's just not what we expected from like that performance that we know that he can have. This guy really can pop off and can be a threat, but it hasn't shown up in play-ins yet. So maybe he comes into the series and he throws it down, but so far I'm like, he'll probably be able to control that.
Yeah, I think one thing too that we need to discuss, of course, is the fact that we are moving from a group stage setting to the knockout setting. Those best of fives, as we've always talked about, are a very different animal, and so which of these teams will perform better over the elongated stretch?
Well, that plus one team has had games that they've already played. Fengvu is much more warmed up in that sense, where they've already been playing in front of their crowd. They've already played a high pressure game in the tiebreaker game, so they might have a little bit of a faster start out of the gate in game one, where Team Liquid might still be getting used to the Vietnamese area, the crowd, travel, and all that stuff.
But on that flip side, you then have so much tape that Team Liquid just got to sit back and watch and prepare for these teams. And that tiebreaker, that was, I'm going to call it, that was a fiesta. That was wild.
It was fun.
All right, well, the stage is set. We're all warmed up and ready to go. We're ready to kick off Champion Select from Ho Chi Minh City as Team Liquid and Phong Vu Buffalo kick things off. Right in line.
Kick things off indeed, Dash. Thank you so much. I'm revved up and ready to get into this first series. You can hear the fans in Ho Chi Minh ready as well. Daniel Drake, of course, joined by an analyst whose name I can definitely say. Don't you worry, I've got it. It's in my brain. I'm going to pronounce it perfectly. It's going to be great, and you'll hear it later. It's going to happen. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, nameless co-caster.
Good, perfect.
Here to cast some exciting League of Legends.
I realize now you weren't on the screen. I'm with Isaac, Azael, Cummings, Bentley. I almost tripped again. But my struggles with pronouncing your name, not nearly as interesting as what is going to be a very explosive series between two teams. Team Liquid, of course, a lot of pressure on them to just make this week look good across the board. And Phong Vu Buffalo in their hometown, yes, is probably going to improve that performance. Hearing so many people cheering for you, but it's also so much pressure.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure, and I think a lot of these international events do come down to do you rise to the occasion or do you kind of crumble under that pressure. I do think so much of these matches really comes down to kind of who is in their own element. Are PVB going to be lifted up by the support of the crowd, or are they going to be overwhelmed by the pressure and expectations of their hometown fans?
The nature of what's the best of five is going to change completely as we now have a completely new team entering the mix with Team Liquid. And I imagine what we saw in the group stage from the big fan trend is just not going to be very relevant. You now see Aurelia, Vandal, not something we saw a ton of attention. J4 as well, Tom Kent, even taping away at the likes of 4JJ.
Yeah, taking away Tom Kent from 4JJ is definitely a good idea. This guy's an absolute monster on the pick. He is almost never in the wrong place. He is always there to save doublet, to rotate to those side lanes, so I do think that makes a lot of sense. Morgana, not something that he has really played a lot at all this split, but certainly is another strong pick, and also has seen some play as far as mid lane. If you're trying to counter out some of those things, it could be kind of signifying that PVB wants to go for something that is difficult into Morgana along the lines of the Thresh, or even maybe some of the jungle champions like Sequani, or things like also Santa, which can be quite powerful.
And now we see the Apollo band is also a lot of power, a lot of solo lane picks. TL very clear when they're attacking. Phong Vu Buffalo, I think when you look at TL opposite you, you know double and 4JJ are going to be so strong. So taking some of those options away actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think for TL, it's about just banning out flex picks, right? It's about actually preventing them from going to these picks where you don't know where things are going, from confusing the draft, right? And I do think first pick Jace is probably what we're going to see. It's what TL did go to quite a bit throughout playoffs when it was open. It is a fairly safe blind pick top. And though people do not think of Impact as this kind of lane bully style player, throughout playoffs, all he played were carries. There was not a single tank game in that run.
Once again, very important to make a statement here, to be dominant on the top side of the map. So many international fans are kind of have questions about what Impact is going to look like on the stage up against other premier top laners. Zeros, not necessarily the name that immediately comes to mind with the likes of Shy there, but definitely a contender for that top of the table list. For now, though, not going to respond to the Jace. Instead, we'll go with the Galio, Locket, and the Sylas to follow up.
Sylas certainly can be flex pick there. Also, TL did kind of answer those bans. They did have those two flex pick bans, but another one on the table certainly was Sylas, and it's just so interesting to see how much respect PVB are showing over to Core JJ, the LCS MVP, triple bans on his support pool, then picking away the Galio very early on, trying to push him down. Lucian Braum, though, still available here for TL, and a very lane-dominant lane it is. It is someone that you can attack the Galio on, and this is definitively, I would say, the strongest bot lane in North America, so certainly PVB is going to be in tough.
And I love this because it is 3 incredibly powerful early game picks, and Kane making good on that promise to a certain degree, with supporting this team to be aggressive early if they want to. The Jace, the Lucian Braum, so much kill threat. The question now is, how do PVB respond to this? Blocking Kai'Sa for themselves feels like they're willing to take a bit more of a back foot on the bottom side.
Yeah, definitely the case. Certainly will be a strong scaling style of lane. This is something that we did see them actually show in play-ins. Big Cora was massive in the late game when he did get there on the Kai'Sa. Pallet certainly can play very well in the Galio and is very adept at actually assisting his side lanes in that. Now we are going to see PVB trying to focus on Smithy a bit, trying to stop him from being able to actually affect these lanes. And Skarner is most played by far in the North American playoffs, certainly very proficient on it. With Jarvan off the table, we could see something like Rek'Sai or even the Olaf targeted if they want to continue to push Smithy down in his champion pool.
And I'm curious if the Gragas is going to be threatened at all inside of TL. Of course, Meliodas notable differences when he's playing Jarvan and Gragas in terms of impacting the early game versus any other champion from what we saw. However, for now it is the Hecarim, so just a lot of conventional power picks, limiting some of Zeros' options as well.
And I think on the side of PvB, if you want Gragas, you're not going to ban it here because you have first pick in the second round, right? So the Rek'Sai ban, I think, makes a lot of sense. You ban that out, you either pick the Gragas or perhaps even the Olaf here if you want to try to have a bit of a takeaway from Smithy. Certainly Smithy does have a lot of other champions in his pool, played a lot of Lee Sin throughout the regular season, so there's tons of options still available for him, but PvB, very clear in both the first and second ban phase who they are targeting. They have a concerted kind of effort in mind to hold down one player.
Nocturne now banned away as well, so limiting some of the options from Meliodas, limiting some of those surprise kind of level 6 champions. Of course, you've watched back historically in Vietnamese League of Legends, Nocturne, very special place in your heart probably. We've seen some insane Nocturne play.
Yeah, and I think Nocturne, in particular, works very well alongside the Kai'Sa and the Galio. This is, multiple champions that can deliver in, together, right? The Nocturne ults in, Galio ults in, that procs Plasma, Kai'Sa dives in. So they are going to grab the Lee Sin here. Wouldn't be surprised to see TL just going for something along the lines of the Olaf. Because this is, a bit of a kind of shared champion pool style thing. Gragas certainly something that they could go for as well if they want a little bit of magic damage and playmaking. I do think we are going to see Jensen on something along the lines of perhaps the Zoe or even a Syndra because he is blind pick here. And they do want some magic damage, so.
Yeah, opting to go for the Sejuani here. Interesting to see Braum. Sejuani, of course, has a lot of chain CC potential on this team, especially as fights continue to go longer. And generally, this is a pick that we've seen kind of rising in popularity slowly after repeated buffs over the last few patches.
Yeah, it certainly is. So they are going to decide to go for something a little bit different. Securing the late game is the plan here with the Azir. Jensen, though, they can counterpick him, and they have not really thrown too many bans to actually protect this Azir. Yes, there is the Akali and the Aurelia. Certainly, Desauce could theoretically be mid, but there is the ability to go for something like a LeBlanc here for Null. That is what I would expect. It is going to get locked in. I think that makes a lot of sense. This is kind of throwing down the gauntlet here for Jensen. If you're going to pick an Azir blind, that is a very bold pick. Certainly something he can survive, but you have now kind of put a target on your head, right? You are saying, hey, I'm going to play this late game scaling champion. You're going up against Lee Sin, LeBlanc, some of the absolute best early game ganking and kind of pressure junglers, but that does say for TL, perhaps now Smithy has an obvious area of where he needs to defend. Smithy is very proficient at tracking enemy junglers, at trying to control vision, trying to control space on the map. So we will see. I am expecting that Smithy will have to spend some time around mid lane, but then the question becomes, you play to your bot side where you have this oppressive lane, this really strong lane that you want to try to stoneball, or are you going to try to protect the more volatile lane on the top side with your Jace who, wants to push, wants to be aggressive, and if behind, Jace not very useful.
And definitely difficult decision to make, but as you mentioned, slower controlled games. Team Liquid always feel like they were absolutely in control in those situations domestically. See if PvP want to be the team to speed it up. If they can, match some fire with fire. And always, when we talk about different regions going head-to-head, the first step in any situation is that skill check. Can you win out on the 1v1 matchup? For Jensen now, who has taken the Azir into the LeBlanc, are you just going to be the better player on the day? Can you just outclass and mitigate what would normally be a weaker lane?
Yeah, and Jensen has always been known as one of the best laners in North America. That is really where he does shine. It is not only just his ability to farm and actually stay safe, but his actual skill shot dodging. I think his mechanics in that regard, being able to make these small movements to sidestep chains, sidestep Lee Sin Qs, I think is one of his absolute strongest points as a player.
Liquid fans in the audience in Ho Chi Minh City. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the first best of 5 of the day. Team Liquid versus Phong Buffalo. Winner of this series will advance to the MSI main stage. Loser will get a second chance tomorrow against the loser of our second best of 5.
Now this is very smart from TL. When you feel that you are perhaps the stronger team, on paper they definitely are. You want to play a little bit defensive here at the level 1. They are not looking to get caught out in any sort of invade, so it is a 5-man stack by this brush here for TL, and now looking for a late invade to see if they can actually force anything.
Of course, we're on level 1, absolutely terrifying. The sheer power of concussive blows in an extended trade level 1 is just too much for most teams to deal with, but they will back off. Null does spot them out. We saw Zeros miss the abscond over the wall, so not going to be able to do anything too sneaky here on the level 1.
Hello anh em.
Both sides kind of just going to retreat, but Impact and Jensen still moving up to the top side, ready to fight if they can.
Yeah, TL's really trying to make sure that nothing crazy is going on whatsoever. They have early wards in both picks and brushes of the rears to kind of track where Meliodas is going to go as far as the scuttles. And they are just trying to give a lot of respect over any potential level 1 pre-planned strategy that PVB could have. In this case, PVB didn't feel the need to actually do that. They are playing it pretty safe and standard, had a bit of a line of scrimmage. Only thing that they have going a little bit weird is down on that bottom side, you could see that they're actually camping out in this rush.
Going to go for the flash punch, immediately want to get some pressure in the lane, but the exhaust has already come out. 4 stacks go down, double lift still okay. The plasma just now procced. End of the day, a relatively even trade overall, but if they continue to land these stuns, I'm not actually sure who came out on top in that exchange.
I think it's pretty even. It's 3 summoners traded a piece here, a very aggressive start, but the problem now for Pallet, after that first initial punch, you're now starting with the W. You cannot actually go forward or help to push the wave or go for any sort of wave clear, so I do kind of think that TL should be feeling pretty comfortable about this. This likely will be drawing a lot of jungle pressure down to that bottom side, though. When you already have 2 supports with no summoners, you have to be defensive, and Meliodas just trying to run straight through mid lane to actually get down to this scuttle. Smithy has been spotted.
I think he does manage to take it, however, to now set up to defend the bottom side. Of course, PvP still able to grab a fast level 2, so not off to too bad of a start, all things considered. As mentioned, now that Gary has an extra ability, things will get a bit easier overall. But Meliodas immediately going to invade here, seeing that his bot lane and mid lane have a bit of pressure, and will take away at least the big raptor.
I do really like the idea, though, from PVB, trying to put Double Lift and Core JJ out of their comfort zone. There was a lot of bans thrown the way of Core JJ, and now certainly, if the lane is going standard, if it is going all to expectation, Double Lift and Core JJ should really be feeling comfortable. But, a little mix-up like that can get you kind of nervous, can get you perhaps wondering, what else may be coming? Is the Lee Sin going to be here? What is the follow-up to this plan? But as it does kind of get back into normalcy, I again do still favor From Lucian.
Impact moves very well in that trade, dodging out of the stun. Continuing to keep the pressure up on the top side, exactly what you want from your Jace, using that early game strength to make sure that Zeros is just kind of caught out and trapped under that tower. Always difficult to push a Silas out of lane when he gets access to the wave, given the strength of that passive, but once he's under that tower, very easy to maintain.
And you can see Impact going to Conquer for those kind of extended trades. Double is trying to hold the wave here a little bit to deny some CS, but Big Poro looking like he just wants to head back to base early, and at the same time, you did see Jensen expending his mana, shoving out the wave, resetting that, and getting an early base off, which is always going to be, a pretty nice position to be in when neither mid laner does have the television.
Now Jensen has to be a little bit careful here. Very close to that tower, should be able to walk away quite comfortably, but Null's still going to go in, still going to threaten. Get the electrocute Brock off, but not a lot else. And speaking of the mid lane, we've seen Lethal Tempo is here, coming in from G4 in Group B. Now Jensen's opted for the electrocute. Why do you think this choice is coming?
This is much more about the short trades, right? When you're fighting against the LeBlanc, you don't have the luxury of poking them and then getting your lethal tempo going, getting this long extended trade. This is purely more for the laning. When LeBlanc dives in onto Azir, you can get a QE auto off. That is going to proc your electrocute right there. You have the shield from your E if you do connect. So it's about winning these short trades and being able to maintain some sort of lane pressure.
And for now, Jensen very much going even as Null backs out just like they have an XP advantage for now. See how that changes once LeBlanc approaches the level 6, and even in the bot lane, the early aggressive play for Pallet and Big 4 won them the level 2, but Lucian and Braum feeling a lot more comfortable with you levels under their belt. But now we see attention from Meliodas coming down to the bot side.
Yeah, we'll see how early they do actually spot him. Just now they do, and they're going to have to back out.
Well played by CoreJJ, waiting, dashing back to double lift. Going to make it out unscathed and giving over the passing information, so the rest of the match will feel quite comfortable.
Yeah, but now Smithy is down there to actually protect them. He wants to make sure that double lift can push in and reset, because Big Coral already went back. He grabbed that Kerchay's shard. If Meliodas does base check them, they could be in trouble.
Double taunt is going to come through. Meliodas needs to make it into the play. Can't just be forced into the 1v1 with Smithy. The stun is already there when he does try to leap in. Smithy just needs to reactivate. Going forward, the side step is there. CoreJJ fast forward to Meliodas. He's going to get one back. Now he needs to make it out to safety. He's in running for his life. No ward in his inventory. Impact on the bot side as well. This is turning against PVB. Double kill for CoreJJ in the bot lane.
Yeah, well, that's what they're going the bands at, baby. But either way, you know, a well-played fight there from TL. I don't think that CoreJJ certainly should have taken the second kill at the very least, and Impact TPing down to that bottom side. You wouldn't wanted him to grab that kill because he's actually losing a lot on the top side. Look at this wave at his turret. He's probably going to lose 2 plates, at the very least the 1, plus about 2 full waves. So that does put him behind the curve a little bit, and either way, here it is one more time. They are certainly expecting the play to come down, Smithy lying in wait. But Pallet able to tag double lift with that taunt, and that really was the big thing there. Double lift getting a bit too aggressive towards Big Koro. Nice sidestep does allow them to get the first blood, otherwise that would have likely gone to Meliodas, and it did force out his flash, which makes it a bit of a one-way trip for the Lee Sin.
You can also see the power of the Brahmins joining together as they just do not let the Lee Sin push any buttons once he has been caught out. Lee Sin, of course, grabbing the kill does mean that he has a couple extra longswords in the inventory. Meliodas can continue to be a threat, and all now level 6 as well, but a difficult exchange. Most certainly, if some of those kills have gone to Impact or double lift, this would be a much more difficult situation.
Yeah, definitely the case, because, I mean, really, at the end of the day, the big winner, as far as the carries go, was actually Zeros up on the top side of the map, because all the kill gold went to CoreJJ. Zeros was able to deny a lot of experience from Impact to take away a turret plate. So, you know, individual gold-wise, that is going to help him out a fair bit. You know, Impact certainly still doing well in that lane, but his advantage was erased by that TP down to the bottom side. And we'll see how this does go as we do move forward. But Double Lift certainly can be criticized at least a little bit for actually getting tagged by that taunt, because Pallet didn't have his flash available, and that is really what caused them to even lose that 1 kill.
Level 6 though now for Meliodas. May see some action here in the mid lane, but Jensen playing to the top side has an easy out with the shifting stance if he wants to take it. Null stepping forward anyway, trying to bait out some cooldowns so Lee Sin can get an easy in, but Smithy is here as well. Sniffing out the player, just looking to make a play of his own. Ignite does go down. Jensen shift away, a bit of a juke there. Null stepping forward, immediately getting a bait of a nice use of the distortion. Jensen's ult forced out. Flash still available though. Pallet now going forward. Double Lift is going to be in trouble. They're going to kick him back. The Braum not going to be in a great position to block the Unbreakable. Essentially useless. Double Lift now set to give his life in the exchange. Big Koro now going to grab the kill. Double Lift laying down a lot of damage though. The heal comes out. Feels like they've been on more than they can chew. Double Lift making a good effort, but Koro going to grab the kill.
Yeah, it does at least force out that flash, but taunt flash there from Pallet. They knew Double Lift did not have his available after the previous play, and PVB playing it very well in these early stages. Pallet has to be a little bit careful, but you know, getting that kill onto their Kaisa certainly going to be feeling very good. They would give that scaling advantage over to Big Koro, and Meliodas trying to take this time to grab up the Ocean Dragon, but that certainly will not be able to happen as Smithy is moving back.
Of course, Jensen returning to lane as well. So even overall in the kill trades, of course, CS pretty even across the board too. So a very close game thus far in the early game, but when we talked about what is good for Team Liquid, a slower game was the answer based on how the team likes to play, but is it the same in terms of compositions?
I would say so. I don't think that they really have too much to worry about as far as getting outscaled or anything like that. Yes, the Kaisa you would favor over Lucian if it does get the late game, but I think Azir, Sejuani, you know, are so much easier to kind of navigate and actually execute on in a late game team fight compared to someone like the Lee Sin and the LeBlanc, who really have to be able to kind of make big plays, play out of vision, get picks, these sort of things. You know, Double Lift is going to have a lot more protection, and they're going to have kind of more consistent damage coming out of their backline.
And now I'm just curious to see where Smithy decides to put his attention. Of course, he's been doing a decent job so far protecting for all these games. 2 assists to Lee Sin's 1 kill and 1 assist, but has the playmaking potential now that he has hit the level 6. Impact, while he did have a pretty solid early lead in terms of pressure in the lane, is now struggling a little bit more. Hextrick are keeping him safe in the matchup. Zeros much more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say Impact is doing well, though, right? You know, he is even on farm. You know, he's a little bit ahead, but he TP'd away from lane, whereas opponent TP'd 2 lane, so you certainly have to take that into consideration. Now 3-man mid looking for Jensen.
Potentially in trouble, but Null is just now going to get turned on. Smithy, though, the rest of the team has arrived. Big Core going to try to lay down a little bit of damage. Sejuani's still so tanky. Meliodas on the backside. They're trying to fish for the dive here. No wards for the Lee Sin in his inventory outside of the control ward. Would have to commit it if he wants to go for a fancy play, and he will. Kicks it right in the rest of the team. Perfect chain CC. Big Coro going to grab the kill.
Yeah, really nicely done. And they have multiple members here on the top side, so they're going to go straight for that Rift Herald. They're actually rotating Zeros down to that bottom lane. Doublelift going to be able to pick up some turret plates, but a great job here by PVB, really putting the pressure on, escalating the pace of the game. This is the kind of style you want to see them playing, have a good shot against Team Liquid, and thus far, it's looking pretty damn good.
Had a very creative approach on that play from Meliodas, finding the flank. Null, though, now laying down a bit of damage. Jensen's still enough of a threat in terms of DPS, though, to dissuade him from committing too much further. Barrier and Ignite both up for the respective mid laners, but Zeros is here as well. Could look to steal on a zero or on back, but not opt to do so. Instead, immediate use of the Herald on top side. Wants to cash in on some of those plates.
Yeah, they have to, because look, there's only 1 plate left on the bottom side. They're going to lose this first turret very quickly on that bottom side. It will be a race for it. PVB likely will win this, but it's going to be damn close with that turret charge. And PVB will get it.
Of course, the last plate, just so much armor. Difficult to cut through. Doublelift, though, still going to get a lot of gold here with 4JJ. Have to see what he's going to do with it. Price and Lee Sin on the top side, the beneficiaries as well. 4JJ just has a lot of gold this game.
Yeah, he definitely does, and you know, will allow him to get kind of some of those support items a little bit faster. Certainly would prefer the gold to be on the carries here if you are over on TL, but an interesting call from PVB. Just move so many members up that top side early on. The kill on Smithy allowed them to get quite a bit out of that because they had a great pick with Meliodas. Picking in Smithy, killing him off, that means they get Rift, that means they just barely beat out this TL bot lane to first turret. So PVB playing very evenly in these early minutes here of this game, and honestly turning in an impressive performance already.
But of course, I feel like there's a little bit of pressure now on them to turn it into a greater advantage now that they've taken the top side, because essentially the gold has now been evened up, but an Ocean Drake over to TL, and if the laning phase continues, that advantage just continues to compound.
Definitely does, but you can see PVB doesn't really want a lane, right? You know, that is why they're actually, you know, going for these sorts of assignments. They're trying to move away from that laning phase, not interested in kind of having that 2v2 against Double as he hit his Blade of the Rune King, and knowing that Lucian is going to be very strong at this point in the game. So again, it is the lane swap. TL sends their bot lane top. Smithy and Impact will look to hold down here on the bottom side, and we can see Big Coro, as expected, moving towards the Rage Blade. Doublelift will be going in Essence Reaver second, so we're seeing more and more people move towards this style of build. It is very strong as far as your scaling, as far as your team fighting, but we have seen some of the Lucians really struggle to actually get involved in those late game team fights despite the build, because you still are that short range champion. You still are very vulnerable.
Yeah, and of course, especially difficult in the face of the Galio. Meliodas. Whoop. Just gonna get. He's now been evened up, but an Ocean Drake.
Lift as he hit his Blade of the Rune King, and knowing that Lucian is going to be very strong at this point in the game. The dive. So again, PVB happy to just trade gold on opposite sides of the map. Move towards this style of build. It is very strong as far as your scaling, as far as your team fighting, but we have seen some of the Lucians really struggle to actually get involved in those late game team fights despite the build, because you still are that short range champion. You still are very vulnerable.
Yeah, and of course, especially difficult in the face of the Galio. Meliodas. Whoop. Just gonna get the Galio in the middle of the team. Talent now has to be a little bit careful, but you can see TL giving a ton of respect to the opposition. No, not gonna connect the chains there, so will back off, but Zero's potentially in trouble now for JJ trying to extend the play to dive, now coming out, immediate kill onto Zeros in the top lane. Or JJ and double.
thought that Jensen and Smithy would have been able to get down there in time to help him out. That is why he is trying to actually stay around and perhaps, bait his opponents in. But then Pallet coming in for the flank, kick into taunt. That is beautiful from Meliodas. And Pallet, they're honestly playing a hell of a game. Good position, but if you turn nameplates off, which would you rather have? Would you rather have the Kaison 2 items or the Lucian? I think almost everyone would say they would prefer the Kaisa at this point in the game to have gotten through those early stages and not really been punished by the Lucian.
Yeah, things working out quite well for PVB. And honestly, when we look... We expected so much to be about the top lane, but it has been a very bot lane focused game. Wild to see Big Koro and Pallet keep up thus far. We expected double it from 4JJ to be probably the strongest part of this Team Liquid roster.
And I would honestly say it's been more to me about Meliodas. I think Meliodas is your time getting damage out, so we'll see if PVB want to challenge. It really looks like they're going to commit to this.
TL laying down the gauntlet. They want the fight, and they are ready for it. Calling them out. The Azir ultimate is available now. Immediately the fight is going to break out. Team Liquid has made his tick to break. Big Koro still damaging, uncontested on the backside. Meliodas doing what he can. Big Koro alive, and while the 4 members of Liquid standing, Meliodas not able to get anything. Jensen unable to connect on the ult. Null still alive. Double kill coming in for Big Koro. He's popping up the back line. That's going to be a triple. He's looking for a little bit more, but Big Koro will go down. Jensen finding the kill. Null, though, on cleanup duty. Core JJ, the last man standing. The ace for Phong Buffalo.
An absolute bloodbath by the Dragon. Teal get the Dragon, but they lose 5 kills, picking up 3 for themselves. Very well played by the carries here. Yes, some early members do go down. You'll see Zeros, though, stealing the Azir ultimate, being able to get into the middle of the team, throwing down, the ultimate after Jensen's does come out. The Galio ultimate going down, zoning out, creating some of the zone of control for them. And then Meliodas, Null, and Big Koro staying around. Big Koro able to flash out, avoiding the Shurima shuffle there from Jensen, then ulting back in as Meliodas had gone forward, getting double and flow, and being able to finish him off. This was such a well-played fight from the Phong Buffalo, deserving of so much credit after that team fight. They went straight at TL and just punched him in the mouth.
And it feels like the second TL were split up. The second their front line wasn't in front of their carries, things got so incredibly difficult to play out. And while we were kind of expecting Lee Sin to be the playmaker there, Zeros, despite the low damage numbers, splitting up the team fight, the fall from the Galio was incredible. And now for TL, it feels like things are not going the way they expected. Double said, hey, I don't want to be disrespectful. I feel like it will be a 3-0. I feel like we're on another level. And here in Game 1, PVB are definitely fighting toe-to-toe.
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, this is a hotly contested game. The gold lead, does not secure the game by any means for Phong Buffalo. Certainly there is still the concern of, as the game gets later and later, as these members get tankier and the Azir damage ramps up, can you actually continually repeat those fights? They may be able to, but they're in a great position already in this game number 1, and certainly going blow for blow with Team Liquid, who is, again, grouping up. They're going to move towards this 4-1 strategy that they use a lot in the LCS with the Jace. They use the Jace more for this pressure in the side lane and less, you know, for actually the lane dominance oftentimes. They really do like to spread the map to draw people to impact. And I do believe that if you have Jace keeping Silas in the side lane, the 4v4 for TL just gets stronger.
Things are looking good. They've managed to break down the mid lane tower before Phong Buffalo have been able to find that opportunity, using very powerful wave clear in the form of the Azir just to stop any side lane action. So while Phong Buffalo definitely came out on top in the fight, it seems like right now sieging and pressuring is in the favor of Team Liquid.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. The redemption now has come in for JJ, which is going to help. You know, I do think that the burst requirement for PVB is fairly high to win out on these fights. Got to knock people down. Wouldn't be surprised to see Jensen getting a second item Banshees. Would not be surprised to see Doubles working towards Phantom Dancer. These sorts of items to try to extend the fight, to try to make it more difficult for PVB, which just, again, puts more onus on the playmaking of these carries on the side of PVB. And thus far, they have really been able to step up to the table and been equal to the task.
And the stakes only continue to raise, as you're saying. It only gets harder and harder to navigate a Sejuani Braum team fight. As well as Jensen, who will continue to become a greater and greater damage threat. 2 items now. On the Azir, a good spot to be 20 minutes into the game, and double Ocean too, so sustaining threat continuously can look to siege up. For now, it's a 1-3-1 as Jensen catches the side wave. Null, the rest of PvP may just look to make a play here. Have Sejuani off. Could try to force a dive. Jensen too nearby. Jace, though, has the TP available, can make his way into the fight if they want to kick things off.
Yeah, I mean, it is 5 members of PvP, and remember, we are post 20 minutes, so mistakes now are punished much more heavily. You can see the assistance things over onto Jensen. Null wanted to look for the Azir, but Jensen did back off soon enough, and now the side lanes will have to be answered. Impact pushing out again. They are going to have Jensen on his Azir moving back to group up with the team and moving back to this 4-1 style. That really is going to be what they spend most of their time in as far as this game goes, I do believe. You will have Azir answering side waves, but not pushing past the river. That is not really what the Azir's job is, and you're too easily picked off if you're far out.
Yeah, Team Liquid just looking incredibly comfortable at this point. Taking complete control of the bottom side of the map. Good vision now laid down. Of course, PvP have a lot of defensive vision on the top side, but so many wards are there for TL that they can't realistically threaten the Baron with what they have now. And the game's slowing down by a decent amount.
It certainly has, and it may come down to this next Dragon when we're waiting for that team fight, right? Next Dragon is in 15 seconds. The vision has not really been set up heavily around that area for either side. But we saw both teams opting into that team fight last time around. You do have to be careful of your opponents rushing towards the Baron if you do commit too heavily to that Dragon, but Impact in the area, they could even have him just kind of solo starting it up. He's dropping his ping over there, and I think TL want to establish control, move towards the neutral objectives, and kind of continue that march forward. But as you can see, PvP is already flocking down here. Anytime TL groups are like, great, that means we can 5v5. That means we can fight.
The PvE phase has ended, Azale. The PvP phase begins. Dragon
PvP
up
phase.
and available, potentially, the PvP phase. We're winning a team fight. As you mentioned, Baron is up. Both teams potentially able to take it if they can get out of this fight unscathed enough. So hugely critical fight as they move further into the game. Null finding a bit of flanking damage, but only able to hit Xmith. Definitely not the target he wants to hit. Poking like that is going to be pretty useless against the double Oceans. Getting lower and lower. Smith going to try to go for it. Meliodas has secured the steal, but has put the rest of PvP in a bit of a difficult position. They're now trying to find the retreat. Null into the backside, but double is unafraid. Dashes forward into LeBlanc, ready to return fire. Pallet now retreating. Rest of the team trying to back off. Acceleration gate is there. Null trying to lay down a bit of damage, but he's caught on the wrong side of the wall. The entire team collapsing. They smell blood in the water. Pallet is next. Team Liquid grabbing 2 on the backside of that Dragon fight. May just run right to the Baron.
Yeah, I think they will. They still have a lot of their cooldowns to actually try to turn for a potential fight. The Shurima Shuffle Flash ultimate is available for Jensen, so TL will try to make Feng Vu respond to them. Meliodas did have a great smite on the Dragon, and they secured it, but Baron is the big prize here. Poor JJ will look to zone. Remember, Meliodas does have his own flash and smite, so they have to keep this Lee Sin out.
Definitely have to be careful here. Meliodas, high-pressure scenario. If they go for the contest, they could risk everything because they're losing the jungler here, but TL is just going to grab the Baron uncontested. Meliodas now in trouble as poor JJ runs forward into enemy territory. Team Liquid grabbing the Baron. Huge shift in power on the back of that play.
Yeah, that is enormous, and it's going to really help them in this 1-4 style of play that they are looking for here. Here is the Dragon fight one more time. Meliodas, huge smite, beautifully done, nails that. But Zeros is pushed out immediately because the Sejuani hit that ultimate. You can see, look at the team collapsing back instantly when Null is threatening Doublelift. That is the call. They are staying together. They are keeping Doublelift in. in the back line. Null goes in. Redemption comes down, and Pallet wants to look for a potential flash on over, but the ward over by Impact spots him out, pushes him out, and the team collapses on their opponents, punishing Null, punishing Pallet for these steps forward.
Now TL definitely set up to take control here. You can see Phong Buffalo, knowing that they're behind, they're fishing for an opportunity. They're willing to get that mid lane tier 2 if they can find a pick onto Impact. Will reduce the pressure coming out from this Baron buff. 2.5 minutes, Team Liquid will have absolute control. They're going to break down this tier 2 mid lane tower. Imagine they'll try to do the same, but look to continue to siege mid lane. There is not a lot of wave clear on the side of PVB. LeBlanc, as well as the Kai'Sa, very short range when it comes to contesting a lot of these streets.
And very dangerous wave clear. If you want to distort in, you can potentially get ulted by the Sejuani and take it down. So again, it's about the playmaking, and Zeros has stolen the Sejuani ult, but TL will turtle around this Azir turret and buy time for Impact because he is already on the tier 2. He is looking to knock that down, and PVB are spotted out by the blue ward. Impact will back off and play this slowly. He's trying to grind them out. He's not looking for kills.
And the 4-1 from Team Liquid just flawless thus far, not overextending, but Pallet may have found the engage. Big Koro now throwing out tons of damage. Jensen will just barely make it out, but Big Koro is going to finish for that kill. Poor JJ now on the retreat. Now he's going to find his way into the back line. The stun comes in. The stolen Sejuani all turning the fight. The double for Big Koro now wants to continue, but Impact does so much damage on the front line. The taunt comes out to save the day, but it is not enough to shut down. Coming through, double it, looking to clean up. No, throwing out the clone, buying a bit of time, backing off, double kill coming through, but Double needs to make it out over the wall. Meliodas coming in to threaten. It's a scrappy fight, but Team Liquid with the pressure in the mid lane coming out on top.
Yeah, Impact comes over, does help to clean that up, but it was a great initial engage there from Pallet, knocking down Jensen so quickly. Jensen not able to survive, and Big Koro able to ult in, finish him off. That allowed PVB to commit forward to that fight in the 5v4. They knew they needed to engage. They were able to make it happen, but it does end up being TL with the extra kill, TL with the inhibitor tower and the inhibitor, as Impact is going to collapse. Let's watch this one more time. Team Liquid getting corralled in very effectively by Null and Meliodas. They're two stacked up, pushing forward. The flash taunt comes in. Look at Jensen getting so low. The redemption coming through. Does not have barrier on. Gets knocked down by the ult to follow from Big Koro. But then as Impact comes over, look at this damage. The shot blast lands on Big Koro. A turret shot comes through from the Azir tower there. And Impact, no hesitation, flashing forward, knocks down Big Koro, which means there's not much left in the PVB squad. But still a great engage from Paladin. Credit where it is due.
I mean, absolutely a game of inches. You saw the supercharger run forward for Big Koro there. Was feeling himself, thought he could turn the fight, but it turns against him. Well played by Team Liquid. They break the mid lane inhibitor. 4 minutes now. They're going to be in a severe advantage state. Honestly, this tier 2 feels pretty uncontestable. Still have a tiny bit of Baron buff left for this wave, but it is just now falling off.
Yeah. I think we're going to see TL try to pressure this, but probably retreat again back to the Dragon. The neutral objectives have very clearly been their focus, and you know, they have Jace right now kind of escorting this wave in. As members of PVB have to respond to that mid lane, TL will threaten the flank with 50, move in to cut off any potential turret defense, and they will be able to grab this. So very clean play from them around the map. We'll see if they're going to be able to challenge this inhibitor tower, or if they want to try to back off, reset, and look for neutrals.
PVP, can they find another miracle engage? Shock blast to the face, and all taking a bit of a chunk there. Looks like TL going to try to sustain a push for at least a little bit.
It's just so hard, you know, when you don't have the taunt flash, when you don't have pick flash, a lot of those playmaking summoners are so critical for PvP to be able to get in. And you're not just being able to justice punch your way into the middle of the team and walk in, right? It really does take some sort of playmaking tool, and TL are grouped up as 5.
Big sign of confidence. Zero stealing away the Sejuani ult. Smithy ready to body block if necessary. Knows that he can sacrifice himself to get the carries, freedom to DPS, but Team Liquid will now back off. May play for the Mountain Drake.
I think so.
And honestly, a 4K gold lead right now, Azale. And when PVB were, you know, upping the tempo, speeding up the pace of the game, winning that first Dragon fight, it's impressive how TL were able to take a step back and slow down the game and not get caught up in it, not get wrapped up in it, not expose themselves to picks on the side lane as well. They've slowed down very well, and you can see the benefit of it.
Yeah, it really is, right? And as more and more of these items come through, it just gets harder and harder, because not only is there the PD, we had seen the QSS was picked up for that previous fight when Double gets not flash, the QSS is out. You know, these are things that are just going to make it harder and harder to actually knock them down. And there's more protection coming through in the form of the Locket, likely a Night's Vow being built up by Double, perhaps a Night Vow coming through from Smithy as well for Jensen and Double to both have one. So they're trying to really make sure that they do protect these carries. And Double will be soloing down that Dragon. Impact again in the side lane, trying to draw members to him. Again, this is about the pressure. It is less about the kills and the kind of lane domination. And Teal will again set up this 4-1 push.
Yeah, uncontested Mountain Drake, 21 seconds till the Baron response. For now, vision control around that Baron heavily in the favor of PVB, but with mid lane pushed out, TL will have complete and total access. No sweepers available, but you'll notice a litter of control wards just in every inventory outside of double lifts. Just throwing it down.
Gotta call him out. Sell that BF sword. Buy a pink. But either way, TL gonna be moving out on the map, trying to set up around the Baron. They have a pink inside the pit, a pink outside the pit to try to cover any potential vision on that sneak. Now they will move in as a 4-man squad to try to get vision in the jungle. This is to try to choke PVB out of being able to even check on if the Baron is starting. And this is where it gets harder and harder and harder for PVB. And this is something that Smithy and Core JJ certainly do excel at. You can say that they're not willing to fully commit to this until someone actually will show bot lane alongside Impact. Once someone shows down there, you may see more of a commitment to actually stepping up and trying to go for this vision, but they're hunting double lift.
Oh, marked for death. They want to get their kill on double lift. But Pallet now needs to retreat. He's been cut out by 2 members. A lot of potential CC there. The damage now to back them up from Jensen. TP coming in, but Pallet going to be taken out before the fight even starts. Trying to make a decision, but will not. An immediate fall of Ultimate Smithy. Big Koro now needs to back off the only damage source remaining. They're going to have to play very cleanly in this clutch, but it's not going to happen. Big Koro now needs to use the ultimate to retreat. Double living in, going full forward, but now kick back in the rest of the fight. It's a messy fight. PVB still able to find a couple of kills here. Trading back and forth with Big Koro taken down. Meliodas next on the list. The CC is flawless. Team Liquid will find the fight win, and they may just look to end.
Yeah, I think they can end it right here. 40 seconds on all the important members that are down for PVB. They will go straight through the bottom lane, knocking down the inhibitor here. And 10 look to press forward, and while it was a great kick onto double lift to knock him out, Jensen was never threatened in the fight, sitting on both his summoners still, and the TL will march forward to their first victory at MSI.
Pallet finally stepping forward, but it is just not going to be enough. Too much CC on this team, a 3-man Tom, but there is no damage to follow it up. Impact raining hell with the shock blast. The ulti will come out from the Galio. Ignite ticking down, but it will not be enough. Game 1 going in the favor of TL. It was rough in the mid game, but they brought it together and will find their first win on the MSI stage.
Certainly a very close contested game, though. Honestly, PVB, I think in those early minutes, fought back more heavily than people were really expecting. You could see that they had a game plan. They executed on it well. Everything from that level 1 cheese out of the brush, taunt flash at level 1, forcing double lift to use summoners, forcing Core JJ to blow those summoners and start the lane in an uncomfortable position. And from there, I honestly have to give so much credit to Meliodas. I think he was astounding this game on the Lee Sin, playing across the map, forcing kills, being in the right place at the right time to really be able to get a foothold in this game for PVB. But the problem became, I think, in ease of execution for TL, the composition they drafted they're extremely comfortable with, and Jensen was always that insurance plan on the Azir. They were never really able to punish him and put him down whatsoever, and he was just consistently getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It kind of felt like that snowball was rolling.
And once that one dragon fight went in their favor and they were able to take that Baron, when Meliodas was not able to access the pit, it felt like suddenly the pressure was on for Phong Buffalo to be the team that engaged, and that's where it started to fall apart. But for more on how Game 1 played out, let's send it over to State Farm Instance.
Thank you very much, Dracos. A competitive first game here in the knockout stages for the play-ins at MSI, but it does go the way of Team Liquid, the predicted favorite here in our first best of 5. That said, we had teased the possibility of a split map with Phong Buffalo perhaps going to the top lane, using that 2v2 of Meliodas and Saros in the top lane to take advantage of Xmithy, while TL perhaps goes to the bot lane. Not quite what we got here, though, on the outset of the best of 5.
No, I mean, Team Liquid have been playing a lot of carries top throughout playoffs, and so we were saying, you know, maybe this is going to be a thing where they kind of leave them to the wolves, and that's where you'll see Phong go, but instead it was actually carry versus carry, but neither received that much help as they really focused on the bot lane, even from level 1, even before the junglers got involved. It was so clear that that was where the gameplay was going to be focused.
And it felt like this was really kicked off by Meliodas. I know that Xmithy kind of beats him to the gank. He's already sitting in the brush, but Meliodas and PVB were very clear that, hey, we're done with Braum and Lucian being so far forward. We are going to try to fight fire with fire, and then it all just cascaded from here.
And I think, they did a really good job, too. Even level 1, trading summoners relatively evenly. They never really gave up that much in the bot lane to Double Lift and Core JJ, and even made some really good repeated gank attempts down there.
Which is why I think Galio is also going to be a pick to watch throughout this series. Pellet is a very strong Galio player, but one of the advantages that this champion has is his all-in potential at level 3. And again, if you know that Double Lift and Core JJ are one of the primary win conditions of TL, make sure that you do have some sort of firepower to bite back against this team, and Galio fits very well with that.
And you had talked about how, Pallet and Big Coral have been two of the better performing members for this team throughout the tournament so far. It's good to see them stack up against one of the best bot lanes North America has to offer in Double Lift and Core JJ.
Yeah, and the Galio does have that all-in threat, but you would think a Lucian Braum lane versus Kai'Sa Galio should, over the course of the whole laning phase, start turning those advantages, but the gank attempts kept coming in. They couldn't really make anything work well, and so you saw the Essence Reaver start coming out for Lucian right away, being like, all right, I'm not going for the crazy 2-item Bork Black Cleaver rush, so he actually started to focus more on team fighting, because it became very apparent that Team Liquid was not going to bully themselves through a weaker opponent.
Yeah, I really like some of the pivots on itemization. We were talking about the defensive itemization for Jace in the top lane, the fact that he completed his Hex Drinker before completing his Black Cleaver, and it made sense, but ultimately it meant that Jace was going to miss that big power window when a Lucian would have 2 items, that Jace wouldn't have a completed item, so Impact felt like he kind of timed himself out of that game for a long time. But with Azir as the late game insurance policy, it didn't really matter. But kind of to extend that thought, I think Azir also works really well against the Phong Buffaloes, because this is a team that's constantly flying at you. And when you have champions like Braum and like Azir, that's all they want. They want you to dive into them so they can just run amok and make a mess of things.
Right, control that space, keep people away from those carries that you need to keep alive. Now, we talked about how there was no split map in the sense of junglers focusing lanes during lane phase, but there was a split map in the sense that Phong Buffalo said, hey, we'll give you the bot lane, we're going top to take that.
Yeah, I think this is a big part of why you saw that kind of pivot to realizing this is going to be a more of a late game focused game. It's not a lane focused game. And Phong Vu, we talked about how while they're fast paced, they're not like that crazy, never seen the strategy before team. It's actually very standard, flip your bot lane top. It's the better scaling bot lane, get them more gold, focus on these kinds of things, and the top laners have to fend for themselves at that point. Seros gets caught out, and it looks like, all right, Team Liquid are showing, hey, we're the better macro team at this point, but they did not stay calm. There's a bit of greed going on. Who knows exactly why, but Impact feels like he can step back up here.
And I feel like, maybe this isn't intangible, but PVB are one of those teams where if you don't have a lot of experience with how quickly they play, they can catch you off guard. And you say Impact 100% should know better. He should never be in a position like that. That's pretty inexcusable. He looks death in the eye, walks up to it anyway, but you don't really expect a team to play this high tempo, to go for those plays and to force moments like that.
And they better start getting used to it, because this was when the game looked like, like Team Liquid not really have the better scaling comp. Yeah, you have the Azir, but they have a Kai'Sa, and she was getting a lot of kills. She's getting a lot of gold from the Rift Herald top and all those things. And suddenly it's like, well, can we even actually take team fights against this team?
Right, essentially 2 turrets pre-14 minutes just went the way of Kai'Sa, as well as a couple kills picked up. So she's got a lot of gold in her pocket, enough to essentially rival the Lucian in terms of damage output in this very fight.
Yeah, and which is why situations like this, I'm like, if Xmithie doesn't really nail these team fights with the ultimate, I think that this is actually just a bad time for TL to fight. We already talked about how, Impact had to prioritize his defensive itemization, so he's not putting out any damage right now. And for a second, it does look good for TL. Xmithie did hit the ultimate. But at this point, like, they just didn't have the item advantage. This could have ended up much worse. Yes, Big Coral got some kills, but I just think that was, frankly, a really poor situation over an ocean of all things for TL to even attempt.
Yeah, I mean, with their comp at 18 minutes, they should be slamming that fight, and it ends up actually going into their favor. Luckily for them, there's a huge mistake in the following dragon fight that comes in from Null on the LeBlanc. Like, okay, they lost. They're clearly in retreat mode. He wants to make the big play to turn it, but goes for the flash W, gets exhausted, doesn't have that much damage, and then because he went for the flash over the wall, his W can't get him back on the other side, so he just leads himself out to dry, dies, and then that's really why Team Liquid won the game. Yeah. They were not outplaying Phong
do with blue side. Game one lost my lips there for a moment, went the way of Team Liquid. We'll see if PVB can strike back in game two after this.
Stun is already there when he does try to leap in. Smithy just needs to reactivate. Going forward, the side step is there. Core JJ got towards Meliodas. He's going to get one back. Null's still alive. Double kill coming in for Big Coral. He's popping on the back line. That's going to be a triple. He's looking for a little bit more, but Big Coral will go down. Jensen finding the kill. Null, though, on cleanup duty. Core JJ, the last man standing, the ace for Phong Buffalo. Acceleration gate is there. Null trying to lay down a bit of damage, but he's caught on the wrong side of the wall. The entire team collapsing. They smell blood in the water. Palin is next. Team Liquid grabbing two on the backside of that dragon fight. The stun comes in. The stolen Sejuani, all turning the fight. The double for Big Coral. Now wants to continue, but Impact does so much damage on the front line. The talk comes out to save the day, but it is not enough. The shutdown coming through. Double it, looking to clean up. And Big Coral now needs to use the ultimate to retreat. Double it again, going full forward, but now kick back in the rest of the fight. It's a messy fight. PVB still able to find a couple of kills here. Trading back and forth with Big Coral taken down. Meliodas next on the list. The CC is flawless. Team Liquid will find the fight win, and they may just look to end.
To change the world of gaming, you have to go beyond what's next. Break boundaries, make history, and force the universe to take notice. The world's most powerful and most upgradable gaming laptop with Intel Core processors. The Area 51M defines the future of gaming.
welcome back to Game 2 of Team Liquid versus Phong Buffalo. The representatives of the LCS came out swinging in Game 1 while Phong Buffalo had a good showing. Ultimately, we're not able to convert it into a win, and now we enter Game 2 picks and bans to see what will change. Already one change, Phong Buffalo on the blue side.
Yeah, they did have selection this game, so they do go blue. I'm interested to see if they're going to go for the triple ban on Core JJ once more, or are they going to go for something more along the lines of targeting Jensen, targeting Impact, that sort of style? Do they still have confidence in their pick ban strategy? For now, the first ban will remain the same. Also for TL, are you willing to give over Jace? Answer is no. They wanted to first pick that on blue side. They did also ban out Aurelia and Akali, as well as that J4, so they kind of have to pick their poison here. They will be dropping one ban, and that is a potential first pick for PVB.
An important first pick. I wonder if PVB will secure for Zeros, if they'll still prioritize something like the Galio, as they have often done in this tournament, and what their options will be, because Zeros, we didn't get to see his full strength last game. It does feel like Impact just neutralized that matchup by bringing the Jace to the table.
Yeah, certainly, and I think Impact did a good job of that, despite the fact that he did TP the bot lane and lost turret plate from that, lost some CS from that. He was able to hold very even in that matchup, and so far, everything remaining the same here for PVB. A lot of targeting on Core JJ. Did still perform incredibly well, I would say, on the Braum. Really did have a strong showing. More changes here from TL, so Galio being taken away. Pallet had a great game. He was catalyst for a lot of those engages. Taunt flashes were critical, both at level 1, kind of upset the regular flow of that lane, but also in some of their later teamfight engages. They are going to be taking him off that. This does mean that TL has the opportunity to perhaps leave up multiple of those OPs and go for a double kind of a trade, right? If you leave up a lot, you say, hey, okay, sure, you take a Kali, but then we get J4 and Umbrella, or something along those lines.
And see what PVB want to prioritize in that case, because Braum is now the final ban. Once again, Core JJ, the sole target of their attention.
Yep. They're going to change that up a bit, though. The Braum certainly wasn't banned out last time, so targeting the success that Core JJ did have in that first game certainly was a strong contributor, and really does just have such good team fighting on the champion very quickly. Moves around, and it actually has really good target selection on who to lock down.
And the Taric now banned away to limit the Taric Sona. Do not want to play against it, but the Aurelia, there's a lot of options here for first pick. You already brought it up, Azale. There's Rise. There's a ton of the powerful flex picks currently in meta that are still on the board. But for now, it looks like it's a debate between whether you prioritize one of those cellular lanes or whether you prioritize Meliodas. And the Jarvan, of course, still a flex pick itself, but most likely going into the hands of Meliodas.
Yeah, we're expecting it to go to Meliodas. This does mean Akali and Aurelia still available here. Both those were banned out in game number 1. We'll be interested to see if TL even cares about those picks, or if they will grab them up for themselves here. If they want to hide picks, you certainly can look for something like jungle support, or even jungle and bot. So Kaisa, looking like the takeaway from Big Koro, did have, I think, a really strong game 1 on it. Both through laning phase, surviving against Lucian Braum, certainly had help with all of that jungle pressure, but also did look really good in the late game team fighting. So now Doublet securing a little bit of scaling for himself. Skarner was banned out in phase 2 in game number 1. Smithy wants to be able to grab it up earlier perhaps here, but Silas also on the table and is a strong pick.
So Silas will get locked in. Of course, I think no surprise to see Liquid debating whether or not they need to pick a jungler here, as once again, Core JJ and Xfinity, the catalysts for most of Team Liquid's plays, were heavily limited in the previous pick ban. For now, though, the Silas and Flex pick itself will be taken. PVB have to make their final selections here in the first phase. Will they prioritize an 80 carry for Big Koro? Will they allow that? Potentially get banned out in the second phase, of course. No longer have the luxury of counter-picking their final pick on red side.
Yeah, they're going to go Aurelia. Was taken away from them in game number 1 in that ban phase, so are going to grab it up. And Jensen has not had any plays of Silas throughout this year. It has only been 1 game for Impact. He did perform pretty well on it, acting as a pseudo frontline, playing Aftershock. Silas does fit his style fairly well, but that is not to say this could not be going mid lane for TL. They will grab up the Varus though, so flex pick in the Aurelia, jungler likely locked down with the J4. Varus will be going bot for Big Koro. TL do have an opportunity to secure their own support here and then try to target the support pool if they want to go that route.
Now the Nautilus being covered. This is another champion that has been considered a flex pick over the course of the tournament. Mostly a mid laner, but has been used in the support position as well.
Yeah, and it's going to get locked in, so you are expecting it to be AP Nautilus mid, But as you say, it can be flexed, and you know, one of the teams that a lot of people were looking at as a potential team to kind of use more of these tanks as they receive buffs is TL, right? This certainly could be a Nautilus top theoretically for Impact. Those buffs do still help that champion in the 1v1. I do believe that Nautilus can do quite fine into Aurelia. Very hard for Aurelia to actually navigate some of these team fights, to be dashing around through the minions. The passive route, very effective at locking her down for any potential jungle ganks. But as of now, I would expect this to be a Sylas top, to be a Nautilus mid. Still, on the side of PVB, you have to give consideration to the fact that they could be moved around.
And a lot of potential engage already on both sides. You know, the freedom for Sylas to steal both the Cataclysm as well as Varus' ultimate. It's in a very good position to get things kicked off when paired with the Nautilus. And naturally, we may see more explosive fights across this game. We check in on the bans, of course, Skarner once again. Xmithie's champion pool is being targeted here. Ryze will be banned away on the opposite side. I think TL feeling a little bit more comfortable than is the jungle Jarvan, and will now target a different role instead, limiting the flex pick opportunities on blue side by taking away the Ryze.
It's interesting seeing Kane having so much of a discussion there with Jensen, which does lead me to believe that, you know, it is going to be probably the mid lane Nautilus, not flex to the support. You know, asking Jensen, hey, what are the matchups you are most worried about perhaps on the Nautilus would be my assumption there. Taking away that LeBlanc that Null did play last game, performed quite well. Jensen certainly equal to the task during the laning phase, but Null had some strong team fighting.
Yeah, I found a couple of those key picks onto the side lane. The Sejuani, though, now taken away, giving a lot of respect over to Xmithie and his comfort picks.
Yeah, I mean, Lee available here, Olaf available, Rek'Sai is still up. You know, that is what they traded out for the Sejuani ban. So a lot of these bans have just been kind of flexed based on the performances in game number 1, saying, hey, maybe this pick deserves a little bit more respect than we originally anticipated.
And it was, I mean, very difficult for them to navigate those team fights, and as soon as the skirmish started to turn against them, Sejuani kind of just compounded that advantage for the opposite side. But the Rek'Sai will be picked up, so a lot of early game power here on both sides with the Jarvan as well as the Rek'Sai. Support, of course, waiting to be picked in, as well as another follow-up solo laner. Have to imagine if the Shen is locked in, it will be a support for Null, or for Big Coral on the bottom side, but still, I feel more creative picks have yet to be seen on patch 9.8.
Yeah, it's certainly possible to go top, but does see a lot more play in the support role. Rek'Sai going to be working very well. There's already quite a lot of gank assistance. You know, when you look at the Nautilus, when you look at the Sylas, both these guys can set up for the jungler quite effectively. And Rek'Sai is very strong in those early levels, especially from ahead. Can be an absolute monster.
Now some debate. We see the Camille swap back and forth, of course. Okay. Zoe's still one of the most comfortable blind pickable champions I think we've seen from many mid laners internationally, especially with Lissandra kind of being taken off the board for a few nerfs. Played a small bit, but Zoe now locked in, will commit the Aurelia to the top side of the map and the Zoe to the mid lane.
And now to find out if anything is going kind of unexpectedly for TL. Are they going to flex anything around? And if that Akali does get locked in, we are going to see Nautilus support here. So that would be that flex. Gangplank, the option. Gangplank is actually one of the best picks, I think, for Impact. He is so strong on this champion. Really adept at actually surviving through that lane phase, getting to those later stages. It works so well with his playstyle because TL often is not playing to the top side of the map. This would mean that Impact can just farm it out, survive, utilize his ultimate down to the bottom side of the map, trying to get double lift ahead. That is very often what they are looking for.
Now we're seeing some last-minute swap around, but this does look like how things are going to be locked in.
I'm still expecting it to be Impact Gangplank. I think they're just kind of trolling around a little bit with the pick order there.
Flex picks is an addiction, man. You keep swapping until 20 seconds, and you take it wherever it lands.
And there it is. It is locked in. So, you know, certainly going to be very strong. You know, for Smithy, I think, to be playing around bot and mid. That is certainly where he's likely going to look to go, simply because that is where he's going to be easily set up by the Sylas, by the Nautilus. You also have to remember that every time CC is applied, that is an additional plasma stack for the Kai'Sa. So there's some nice synergy there with the Nautilus and the Kai'Sa. You have that point-and-click Nautilus ultimate onto champions such as the Zoe, which is going to allow for not only people to be able to actually dive in and try to follow up, but Doublelift to activate his ultimate to try to fly in and knock people down in those team fights. But I think a lot of this will be about can Zeros actually get ahead of Impact. I think if you cannot punish the Gangplank, if Impact is in his comfort zone, farming it out, playing carefully, you know, not really being punished, he's going to be using those ultimates on other lanes over and over and over for those kind of 3-4-man plays that we are expecting TL to make on the bottom and middle side of the map.
With 2 early game junglers as well, it feels like the gauntlet has been thrown down as we enter game 2. Phong Vu Buffalo on the blue side, Team Liquid 1 game up on the red. Turn our attention to the top lane. The fans in the crowd, Liquid fans, once again showing up in force. A lot of concerns from the players that they might be playing in a library. Of course, Phong Vu Buffalo, no doubt, the hometown favorites. And I mean, I just want to see Aurelia versus GP. Impact, I think, kind of legendary for neutralizing a lot of these aggressive matchups, and can he do the same up against Zeros?
I think a lot of his best historic performances have actually been on the GP in North America, where he is able to absorb a ton of pressure. PVB, looking like they may get caught out, but Taunt going to be leveled, so, you know, quick thinking there from Palette. That is why you hold on to your skill points. Likely would have started Taunt anyway on the support Shen, but it is something that we did see players kind of fail at a few times throughout play-in, where they are actually spending an early skill point, then not being able to actually level up the correct skill to escape any potential invade. But PVB, they're not going for anything crazy, right? They certainly don't feel that they have to go for any wild invades or level 1 plans. I do really like that ward from TL. This is specifically to track any potential level 2 Jarvan gank, any potential red to bot style of play, because TL knows that though PVB wasn't doing anything too crazy in game 1, they were trying to shake things up on that bottom side, and they were really looking to focus that. And actually 2 wards committed, so this should track where Jarvan goes either way, whether he goes to the scuttle, whether he runs straight to bot, or trying to go towards mid. TL giving a lot of respect to that level 2 from Jarvan.
And you have to, when you've seen Meliodas play in the play-in groups. Of course, was incredibly active on this pick, probably his most successful pick overall. And both bot lanes, neither one going to opt to leash for their junglers. Instead, huge priority on getting that bot wave pushing. Impact is just trading back and forth. I love the level up on the heal early from Impact, just to make sure that he doesn't get caught out here.
Yeah, I think it is pretty smart. You know, if Aurelia is going to start stun, you can just start oranges and kind of walk at him. He's looking to just proc the grasp as well as that trial by far. The passive, you know, being able to put that on. But Meliodas is up here.
Now trying to make his way in. Going to flash to try to extend, but going to fail on the EQ extend, and we'll have to walk away empty-handed. So flash for flash trade in the end. Zero's still holding on to his.
Yeah. Meliodas not quite able to really get anything done there. You know, trading flash for flash, not too bad, but certainly not what he was looking for. And Zeros, we'll see if he's going to be able to actually run this lane. He certainly wants to be playing aggressively, but it can be difficult if you don't actually have the ability to all in the GP. He's just going to continuously be proccing the grass, getting that with the melees, and then queuing you on cooldown over and over and over, whittling you down.
I mean, between the inspiration tree, between the healing on his W, as well as the grasp, it feels like pretty impossible to all in a 1v1 short of a lot of mistrades from Impact. But I like that Impact is taking a step back, just giving Aurelia the respect here.
Well, and he has to. He has no flash, and he has no vision of the river, right? He doesn't know where Meliodas is. Meliodas could be sitting there waiting to actually take him out once again. Smithy down here around mid lane. If they go in, Meliodas likely in position. He's not moving, so he hasn't actually been spotted by the Rek'Sai passive. They've been getting hated.
Meliodas is right there. The exhaust immediately comes in onto Smithy. Moving in. Meliodas going to find the flag and drag. Trying to extend the play. The Ignite has already gone down onto Smithy. Jensen taking a lot of damage here. Paddlestar coming out. Jensen. They get taken down here. Not going to find it. Now pulling back. Such a close exchange in the end. They actually can continue though. Taunt lands on the bottom side. The plasma stacks starting to go on to Pal, but not going to get the proc here. A bit of aggressive trading.
That was honestly fantastic from PVB. Meliodas, right place, right time, is there for the counter gank, and this is what that matchup can look like.
Zeros continuing to go forward, wants one more auto.
Oh, the BDS this time! He leveled up!
Barely healing, my God! A game of inches on the top side.
I think he would have actually died there had he not leveled up. It looked like the range minions may have been able to finish him off, but just barely surviving, and then his 24 CS to 6 impact put very far down. Off that early flash being forced, he had to give up so much of the experience. Yes, he will be able to pick up a lot of the gold here, but he had to expend his teleport without much of a buy, so that really is quite a cost. And now Jensen getting caught by the sleep.
Jensen, auto's coming through. Not going to chase anymore. Goes the Paddlestar forward, but won't get anything else. Jensen kind of looking death in the eye there, but we'll walk away as we look back on this play.
Yeah, here this is one more time. Zeros looking for impact, and in those extended trades, you can just kind of run him down. It's very hard for GP to actually compete with the damage in an extended trade, just barely not taking him down. Both of them living with almost no health. That was 10 HP, 2 HP with a rage attack in the air when he leveled up. Zero's barely surviving, but likewise, Impact lucky to get away with his life there. He had almost no health.
Taunt now coming in though. Poor JJ all alone on the bottom side. No follow-up CC, and the aftershock is there as well. So we'll just be forced back from full force. Maybe the option not to back here from poor JJ, or will desync the bot lane timer. So the Meliodas has returned to the top side of the map for a bit more action here. No flash for either of them. Now stepping forward, Zero's trying to find the stun. Is not going to connect. Meliodas forced to back off. Good movement from Impact to get away.
Yeah, Meliodas does show there, and Smithy is up on this top side of the map, so he will be able to try to protect him. And this is a very vulnerable spot for Impact because the wave is building and pushing to his opponent. So you're exposing yourself to any potential ganks and to any potential all-ins from the Aurelia, who has now hit 6, no, not quite, who is kind of closing in on that.
Impact, though, getting the push out here means he can't back up Smithy. He's the secured crab, so all of team willing to, in the solo lane, he's willing to expend some of their own resources, willing to expend some of their own pressure to make sure their jungler can't get a lead. Zeros now has to be incredibly careful here. Has burned the flawless duet, may offer an opportunity. I think Smithy just there for the counter gank and making sure that Impact can push out here.
Yeah, exactly. He just needs to get it into the turret. As soon as it is in the turret, the wave will stack and push back to you, so you're not then getting permanently denied on that farm. That was the critical part. Now Smithy heading back towards mid lane, but it's more of a battle of vision than anything else, as Meliodas and Smithy have really done a good job kind of tracking and battling back and forth. You can see how many wards are in this river for TL. Really all the way up along here, but now it's a roam from poor JJ.
Poor JJ on the way. If he can land the hook, this could change things around. Good bit of damage being laid down from Null. Uses that stolen ignite just to throw down a bit more harass. Smithy not level 6 yet. Still throwing down, still threatening, however, if they want to go in. Jensen, of course, no really viable ultimate for him to steal here in the mid lane. Will make things a bit harder.
Yeah, he kind of has to wait until he can see Meliodas steal a J4 ultimate, something along those lines. But poor JJ heading back towards the bottom lane. Both two teams, going kind of fairly even in these early stages, and I do think for the most part you're going to be pretty happy about that as TL. The concern is definitely the top lane, as off of those early levels, Impact was forced to flash, did get put in an awkward spot. He does have a lot of farm to pick up here, so as long as he can survive, can continue to maintain, the gap will close between these two carries. And once GP gets to that kind of Triforce stage, you can start one-shotting ranged minions, and it just gets harder and harder to really actually punish this guy whatsoever.
Zero's backing off, not a lot of mana available, so doesn't want to commit to a full all-in. Most likely would not get enough blade surge reset, but Pallet taking a bad end of that trade. Double may just look to follow up here. The dash back to safety, lethal tempo though, proc now, and we'll fire back.
And key thing on the top side is Impact could have Smithy right behind him, right? So when he walks forward like that, you're like, all right, the jungler's here, I'm running, right? So, he's kind of bluffing a little bit. Smithy was in that quadrant on the map, but you can see there's no vision at all around that top side. So how can Zeros play aggressively without the potential of being punished? And the answer is he can't. So despite the fact that he could potentially have all in on Impact there, he doesn't have the freedom to do so. And now it is Meliodas down on the bottom side.
They come out, Meliodas is going to follow up, double attacks the cleanse, but core JJ does not. Meliodas immediately going to throw out the ultimate to try to extend the play, but double F just ults to safety. 1 kill picked up by PVB.
They could potentially look for a dive here. No teleports are up, so Smithy is in the area to look to protect double if he wants to pick up this farm, but PVB will not take it further, so it is first blood to them. Very nicely done. Unfortunately, it does go to Pallet, but this is just really, really clean stuff here from Big Toro. They have snuck Meliodas into the back of this brush here, and then Varus just has to hit the ultimate. Once that is there, hit confirms the taunt, hit confirms the knockup, no way out. Doublelift does hold on to the Summoner, though, as he is able to use his ultimate to escape from the Jarvans.
Good survival play by Doublelift, but Meliodas starting to come online now that he's level 6. Smithy with a level 6 as well, so a lot of potential damage from this Rek'Sai if anyone is caught out here. It has not found the opportunity yet. Vision topside very much in favor of PvP, giving Zeros a little bit more freedom to step forward, to get aggressive up against Impact. For short trades, though, Impact with Machine feels like he might just come out on top.
Yeah, he definitely can. I mean, that's really what you want. You just want to queue, and you never want to all in it unless you can actually get that full-on kill. So Impact certainly, I think, back kind of in a comfort zone here. Will be interesting to see if he just rushes straight to the Triforce now, or if he actually feels like the matchup does warrant going a little bit more defensive. Sometimes you will see him move towards things like early tabbies, like a Jorum's Fist for a little bit more survivability, especially against J4 plus Aurelia, where you're kind of itemizing for both of them at the same time.
I think defensive itemization may pay off for Impact. Of course, level 6 is now passed for both top laners, so while Zeros has a bit more kill pressure on the lane, Impact really can impact anywhere on the map. What's he going to do what he can. Tries to find some creative gank pathing, but a well-placed ward will spot him out.
And you can see Null is actually moving down. Null is looking to actually kind of force this out. Smithy gets an inkling that he may be on vision and does sweep it out. And TL are just going to start up this dragon. They have the ultimate from Impact that will be able to help, so it's kind of like 4.5 versus the 4.
Now the ultimate immediately going to come out from Varus, used back. Xfinity not going to be able to land the Price Seeker. The fight has already started and kicked off. Impact has killed Pallet. Meliodas in the middle of the team will just get deleted instantly. Good fight from the side of TL, knowing they had the advantage there with the GP ult.
Yep, they use that GP ultimate. This is textbook TL stuff. They want to force a 4v4, knowing they're going to have the advantage there. Not only do they go 2 for 1, they get both summoners off of Big Koro, so that is actually a huge win for TL.
Oh, Null now in trouble. Jensen using the ultimate there, but Null now turning the play. The Shen ult coming out. Jensen needs to get out of here. The flash forward. Pallet going to try to find the taunt. Oh! Not going to connect it, but still the kill going down in favor of Null.
Yeah, Pallet a little bit sloppy there, trying to hit with the taunt flash. Either way, they do clean up that kill. That was critical because it was a huge investment. Not only was it to stand united, it was both summoners from Null and the flash from Pallet, so they needed to get that kill. They do it, and they will be able to get a little bit of damage down here. But here's the play one more time. They see Big Koro and Pallet stepping forward. They're separated from the squad, so GP ultimate goes down, Nautilus ultimate goes down. See the unfurl on the taunt there from Cindy. Meliodas moving forward, but he is burst down way too quick, and Big Koro, without the summoners, can't really realistically re-enter the fight. Then one more time, Jensen sees the sleep coming out, is able to dodge and says, hey, I can all in this, and perhaps he could have continued, but Shen ultimate is up. Pallet has respawned, in he comes. Pallet, you could have just actually finished that taunt. The taunt was going to hit, but he tries to go for taunt.
And the action will now continue as Aurelian TP's in the flash forward on the ulti, trying to find the reset onto Core JJ. That's going to be 1-2. The Blade Surge is coming out now. Jensen on the retreat, and there's the top lane impact the PVB were waiting for, but only a single kill.
Getting down the support, still going to feel pretty nice, and they do make Impact match with his own teleport. They're going to try to turn this into a dragon here, and that would kind of be the larger prize. Having the extra sustain, both for the Varus and the Zoe especially, to have that additional poke, I think can be quite nice, and if Aurelian wants to sit side lane, being able to have non-stop mana for those Blade Surges can help out quite a lot.
Now a 1.5k gold lead for PVB. TL, once again, falling behind in some of the early stages of this game, and all just continuing to get scarier and scarier. Still does not have the Ludens completed. Double it though. Feeling comfortable on the bot side of the map, has 9 CS to his name, and is just not apparently scared of the individual 2v2 whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, he had already faced and completed his item. He's on Storm Racer, so he knows they don't want to fight. But here it is, Core JJ looking to get some vision, base checks Meliodas, and that means TPs can come in. You can see the TP coming out first from Zeros, then from Impact to match. Smithy and Impact realizing they're not really going to be able to do much about this fight, so Core JJ does go down. They do bail out. If it was just the support going down, I think TL is honestly totally fine with that kind of trade of summoners for their support's life, but it is the follow-up dragon as well, which does kind of make it a bit sweeter for PVB.
Yeah, definitely, especially when Aurelian has been running completely out of mana, just trying to sustain a push on the top side of the map will make things a lot more threatening for Impact. He does now return to the top side. Of course, a 40 CS difference on the top side of the map. GP, of course, still going to guarantee a lot of late-game impact. I really hate this. I keep walking into that one. But now, action will continue. Xmithy going to be locked up in the Cataclysm. Null is here as well. The jungler will get taken out. Another pick onto Xmithy in the jungle. Yeah, really well done. They're actually taking away the red buff. They're killing him off, stealing away those Krugs now too, and they will back off. They could have potentially looked for a dive. They're actually going to try it now. 4v1. Shen all power now stepping forward to tank. Impact going to throw down his ultimate. A beautiful flash to make it out to safety, but there's just too many members on the top side. TP coming in as well. Seros within an inch of his life. Jensen wants to keep the fight going. Has the Jarvan ultimate. Meliodas now trying to tank, trying to body block. Double lift is on the way out as well. Seros now getting taken down. A beautiful turn by TL. Impact is still alive. Core JJ here to extend the fight. Sleepy Trouble will not going to matter because double lift is now free, hitting onto Null. The shutdown going through for Jensen, and Impact fearlessly stepping forward. He wants another shot at Meliodas. Impact with the monstrous outplay there. 1v3. Null didn't think he was even needed. He's heading back to the mid lane, and they're committing everything from Impact.
Massive play there from the TL top laner to survive in a 1v3 to get them very low. And it allows TL to fight back, get 2 more kills. They're going to take a tower and a rift, plus the kills off this. And now they're in a very, very comfortable position.
And in the blink of an eye, the gold is evened up. TL now even with a small 300 gold advantage for themselves. They were set to take the Rift Herald, but aren't comfortable enough to do it, knowing that they burned so many of those cooldowns. Blue Buffalo in response, but let's take a look at this. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was going to be a 4v1, but you can actually see them mismanaging this dive a bit. A beautiful barrel, then flashes over the taunt from Pallet, avoids the flag and drag, fighting back again through that ultimate, landing the damage down on the Zeros. This is just perfectly played here by Impact. You cannot ask for more than that. Double it, Jensen roaming up to respond. In comes JJ, and allowing them to get another kill here and finish up with that tower. That is a game-changing play there from Impact. Really showing up in this first one.
Definitely has, and a game of inches, most certainly. One more skill connected, it may have been a different story, but Impact managed to flash it all. And of course, last game, a lot of turret plates went down, a lot of trading. Top lane for bot lane towers. This game has been a different story, only 3 plates total, so neither team can generate too much of a gold advantage from it.
Yeah, despite the CS lead for Zeros, Impact's now up in gold. GP prints money with that passive, and he also has some turret gold as well. He has now hit his Triforce. This means you cannot really pressure him solo under the turret ever again. He's going to be able to just one-shot the range minions, clear out those waves so easily.
Play though on the top side, ultimate expended from Big Koro. Arrow going to come out as well, but not a lot of damage there, not a lot of effect.
And I think they thought they could get more out of that.
That's going to be a lot, though. The Cataclysm coming out. Double is immediately going to use the ultimate to make it to safety. Still, of course, has the flash available. JJ in trouble. Stopwatch buys a bit more time. PVB have the Herald as well. Could look to take down the top side, but you got 2 members roaming up to the side of Team Liquid. They keep trying to go for this play. Meliodas is walking into enemy territory.
And remember, there's no tower, so they can commit to this.
Ultimate coming out from Rek'Sai. Smithy right in the middle of everyone, but Meliodas immediately going to flash. The GPL coming in. Jensen on the backside, going to continue forward. Jen trying to use Meliodas as an escape route. Will not be able to make it out. The knockout coming in just in time. Absolute destruction. Team Liquid cutting through PVB.
Yeah, they committed so much to taking down JJ, and they were able to do it. But again, Impact ulting from the side lane, contributing from down in that bottom lane. Jensen and the rest of the team are roaming up. So here it is one more time. Varus ultimate was already down. They wanted to go for a vision play, but they do trap in JJ. Double it though, able to get Meliodas very low. Would have killed him despite, you know, that 3v2 if it weren't for the stopwatch. So a good stopwatch from Meliodas, but then Smithy able to tag with the Prey Seeker, goes in with the ultimate. Jensen using the Abscond Abduct to get over the wall, to come in, try to clean up Meliodas, who barely is able to survive thanks to dodging out on that skill shot. But it is the stolen Varus ultimate there, locking down Big Koro and getting them another kill.
And just a fantastic turn from TL. Once again, start of the day, Coach Kane said, hey, we are willing to play more aggressive. We want to try more aggressive. They weren't able to pull it off in game 1. It was a slower game when they got control. But this game, they are matching pace with Phong Buffalo. We thought these situations that were chaotic, that were constant, where the pace would just continue to ramp up and up, may not favor Team Liquid, but they are going toe-to-toe, and they're looking good doing it.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they're kind of back in their wheelhouse now where they can just be 1-4, always have Impact in the side lane, always have him drawing pressure. If you send members up to him, great, he's just going to try to survive. But it is 3 members from PVB looking to get up here. Impact sniffing this one out, though, will back off as the Rift Herald is getting dropped. You can spot that on the minimap, so they will be losing their top turret. We'll see if they want to try to make a stand for Tier 2. They have traded back 1 turret, but the base from JJ tells me they're going to try to make a concerted effort to keep up their 2nd tower.
Yeah, Demolish Proc now combined with the Herald charge as well. Impact pretty easily cleared this wave, of course, with the barrels, but does not have its ultimate available. Try to hit some of the creeps. Still, the Rift Herald charge will go off, taking about 40% of that tower's health. Meliodas taking the red buff as well. So small advantages extending here for PVB, but have to be careful they don't get caught out in the fight. Teleport wards behind them if they want to use it, but it's a team. Coming in for Phong Buffalo, 3 members caught in the pinch. Where's the ulti going to go? Meliodas waiting. Zeros in the midst of the team, but only going to connect on the support. Has the reset, but out comes the Rek'Sai. Pallet dashing over to safety with an inch of his life. Double is trying to get in the fight, but doesn't have the opportunity. PVB so far winning out. Eyes on Double. Where he's going to go immediately to the backside, but cannot enter any further. Big Koro and Nal are untouched. Impact grabs the double, but PVB continue to pressure forward.
Yeah, 3 for 2 there for PVB. Really nice plays. Double wasn't really with the team. He wasn't able to actually be involved in that fight from the get-go, so despite the fact that Impact had a good ultimate, that he was able to get in there. PVB make the proactive play. They are more together as a team on it, and as a result, come out 1 kill ahead. And had Double not been able to clean up one additional one, that could have been pretty disastrous for them. But here it is one more time. TL, 4 men on the top side, moving over. Kyle says, hey, we can actually turn on this. The TP's immediately coming through from Zeros, and you can see Double on the minimap. He was out in mid lane clearing the waves, so it's Zoe much faster to arrive. Just now is Double getting here, as 2 of his teammates have already gone down. He does ult in to try to clean one up, tags Zeros with that W. Really nice shot from him there to get one back, but PVB, another proactive play, does cost them their teleport, but they do go +1.
Impact now with TP advantage, as well as the beneficiary of 2 of those kills. So in terms of the individual top lane 1v1, things continue to get harder and harder for Zeros. But the rest of PvP do now have priority in the mid lane and will be able to grab the first mid lane tower of the game. Molotov hits, spinning core JJ there to pick up the resources, make sure the Double can grab them as well, but nothing else is going to come from play.
Yeah, nicely done though. PvP staying proactive. They always seem to know what the next step is, which is something that is really impressing me about them in this series. TL certainly still very comfortable in this position. They have Impact in a great spot where he has been, you know, as you say, the beneficiary of some of these kills. He's still ahead of the Aurelia just barely and working towards, like, what is that, Sterix, but they're going for an all-in.
But coming out with the TP already coming in on the opposite side. Pallet is here as well. They desperately want to kill Impact before he gets there. Now the stolen penalty keeping Impact alive. They're continuing to extend the play. Impact will get taken down. And now Jensen is caught in the middle of the team. If he can't use the Kingmaker, he may just go down in the exchange. A lot of initial damage. Jensen manages to turn the play. Pallet now in trouble. The turn from Jensen, the double dropping.
Huge play coming out of Jensen there. The TP coming through. The Shen ult to buy time. Had Impact had his ultimate up a little bit earlier, that could have been a slaughter. But PVB do get it turned around on them. They do kill off Impact, thankfully for them. But they do lose 2. They will lose the mid lane turret off the play. And Jensen is getting so big on this Silas.
Oh, Big Coro now in trouble. The immediate flash follow, the ulti follow for Double and picking up an easy kill in the mid lane. Well played by Xmithy. Meliodas gonna try to turn it back. Null on the way in, but the bubble does not go through the wall. It's gonna turn the shutdown. Coming in, PvP have overstepped. Misexecution as Null does not connect the bubble.
Yeah, I don't really think Meliodas had any chance of really making that work, to be honest with you. Yes, there was a Zoe in his back pocket, but that was a 3v2. Double still had summoners. He was still basically full on health. There was no one that they could just instantly pick off. Now your jungler is down. TL are going to start off the Baron, and this could again be the straw that breaks the camel's back. They will be moving up, but Zeros on bot side of the map. He doesn't have his teleport.
Ooh, Jensen's going to get tagged out there. Hex Flash going to come over the wall. We'll see it coming. 2K and dropping the first Baron of the game. Going to go over to Team Liquid, uncontested. Null now needs to retreat. Impact ultimate now coming out. Null running for his life. Jensen going over the wall, finding yet another kill. Eyes on Zeros. Maybe a miracle play, but it's simply too difficult. Too much CC on the enemy team. Will he even try? Will he throw out the ultimate? The rest of the team now coming. Big Coro there as well, but no ultimate for the bar. So Jensen just slowly whittling away at this health bar. He has to be careful. He gets pulled back to the team. So many blade reset opportunities, but they're not going to happen. Big Coro, though, remains uncontested. Double it now going to be in trouble. Meliodas moving forward. Double it taken out. PVB want to extend this fight to shut down on Double it. Big Coro, though, now going to be in trouble. Impact over the wall. The barrel is there. The triple kill for the Varus, but Impact finds one back as the barrel takes him down.
Does go 4 for 3 for TL, plus the Baron there. PVB a bit out of sorts. After that bot lane play did not go their way, trying to overforce in the mid lane does punish them heavily. They've now lost the Baron. It is on Impact, which is very critical. It stays up on Smithy as well, so we're going to have one Baron with the main squad, one Baron in that side lane also. And TL getting chased down here, they make the call to turn, immediately bursting down Zeros. But Big Coro is untouched critically here, and still very healthy. So Big Coro flashing forward, knocking down Double. This means TL has to retreat. They're looking for the turn, but Impact out of vision, barrel over the wall, knocks him down. Does get another shutdown there. And in the meantime, TL did grab a dragon. So extending that advantage, and it's gonna take big plays, it feels like, from PvP to really get back into this one.
And the good news for them is Team Liquid are now set to take control with 2 minutes remaining on the Baron power play and they have a Zoe. They have champions that can set up these big picks, these big moments. But it's going to be difficult. Gangplank continuing to get stronger and stronger at the 2-item point. Rek'Sai now, both of them with the Sterix gauge, going to be very difficult to actually burst out.
Yeah, really hard to burst out, and Jensen going to be closing in on his Zonians, right? So that makes him harder to take down. Doublelift can very easily go for PD if he's worried about the dive there too. So, you know, the options get harder and harder, and the extended fights should go the way of TL. We'll see though, there is a Baron buff in 2 lanes, as expected here from TL. Looks like they want to make the collapse down towards the bottom side, and while Null can certainly get picks on the Zoe, it requires vision. It requires TL to not really be able to see him. So that is kind of what they are missing. They need to create these pockets of vision to be able to get that damage down, and without it, you can expect TL to continue to kind of close in on them and try to strangle out this game.
Now they're going to try to extend the play, though. Once again, immediately going to go in. That's going to be the Blade Search reset. Doublelift making out over the wall. Impact most likely set to fall, but so much damage coming in from the GP ultimate. Jensen now on the way in as well. Can't steal away an ultimate. Big Coral locked up, caught out. The Zonya's going to fade away, and he will now go down. No chance to get anything as Impact will find yet another kill.
Yeah, TL get a little bit sloppy there and do kind of walk into one of those few pockets where they did not have vision, but they are able to turn around the fight. The Sterix making it so hard to take down this tanky GP. TL will claim the first inhibitor. Smithy already pushing in the mid lane for the second inhibitor. This game's looking done.
Stolen ultimate coming out. Chain CC follow-up is there for Team Liquid. They're barreling down now the bottom side of the map. The Baron empowered minions are there. Zeros immediately eliminated. The double kill coming through for Jensen. And while it was shaky in game 1, TL have asserted absolute dominance here on the back of so many incredible individual plays in game 2. TL will move up to match point in the series.
Very well played game number 2 here from Team Liquid. Really looking comfortable, and I have to give so much credit to Impact for the pressure he withstood in that top lane, playing incredibly well from a deficit where he was forced to burn his flash very early on in a difficult position where the lane was pushing away from him, where he was going to have to give up a lot of CS, and he does hang on, he does survive, and he was massive in turning around a lot of those fights with the ultimate, and also in surviving the 1v3 that was
just... that dive, I think we could rewatch so many times because he dodges so much CC with a single flash, barely manages to survive, and it was absolutely on the top side, a very close... He almost went down to that. Aurelia all in, did not fall.
Aurelia lived with 2 HP, he had like maybe 20.
It's so absolutely brutal. Well, game 2 went the way of Team Liquid, and to hear more about how it shook out, let's send it over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Dracos. The score now sits 2-0 in favor of Team Liquid as they pick up another win here. This time from the red side. Something that jumped out to me immediately, though, in this game was that every single player across the board, all 10 of them, were playing a different and new champion as compared to the first game of the series. So a total switch up. How did it play out?
Well, that was the weird thing, was you saw the draft and you're like, okay, it is a total switch up. They're probably not going to play around bot side that much. You have a Shen and a carry top into a GP, which is the most telegraphed, like, we're going to dive top probably this game. And then it didn't happen. So, like, it was a very weird, like, oh, the draft pivot makes sense, but the gameplay pivot didn't match it.
Right. Well, so let's dive straight into some of those replays then. Let's take a look at how things broke down for PVB throughout the game, starting near the drain.
So I just have to throw this one all out there that, like, I understand they like to fight, they like to skirmish. It feels like everything's about this bot lane. Why in the world is PVB fighting on their bot side with their semi-global ultimate? They have a Shin. They fight with the Shin instead of across from it to make access of the advantage of having Shin TP to them. And then you add the extra elements onto it. Their top laner doesn't have teleport at the time, and they're against a gangplank. What? What is happening? Like, I totally want to go, yes, when a team throws, someone has to catch it. So all credit to Impact. You did an amazing job. You definitely punished that throw. You smeared, pushed their faces down in it. But ultimately, what was happening with that pathing? Why did no one help Zeros in the top lane? He got like a 40 CS by himself. Where was the dive?
I don't know.
They
went up there like once pre 10 minutes, and then the whole rest of the game plan seemed to be focused around bot lane. And then they finally start putting their top again. And good job by Impact flashing the taunt that's going to come out here, making sure he's going to stay alive. Super clean, all that. Has the speed up from his Q landing, so he's faster, can get away from stuff. But at the same time, it's like, this is such a late attempt. It gets countered out initially, and the rest of the team was already rotating up. Kai'Sa is already on the top side of the map. Like, if you had done this before, the map had started opening up a little bit more, people had an easier time getting out of lanes, you could have blown open that 40 CS lead.
I mean, it's at this point where I'm watching the game where I'm like, PVB will never take a game. Like, they can take moments within this series, but just makes me feel so much more confident about this 3-0 haul for Team Liquid, because I'm like, you had all of the opportunity, you have all of the setup, but you couldn't recognize what the proper win conditions were for the moment to execute on it. And then if you just even, like, that was a boosted dive. You go for that type of dive, and Impact is just styling on you, and then turns it around, and suddenly GP is massive here when you had every opportunity to put him down.
Right. I think you look at this and you go, we saw on that lower third, 45 CS lead for Zeros in 15 minutes, done almost entirely by himself. And at that point is the first time the team plays towards the win condition of strong carry laner into weak carry laner in that sense, to try and take advantage of it. And that probably could have been the 4th or 5th time in a game if they had chosen to play that way early. Yeah, and I mean, they pick up a lot of kills around the map. When you can see the skill of the players and all that, and, you know, the draft makes a lot of sense too. It's just like when it comes down to, like, what is the decision making around where you want to spend your resources and where you want to go to, it clearly falls apart, because that was still a pretty close game for, you know, 15-20 minutes of it, despite how much we're criticizing PVB's decision making.
That's the key word for me. It's the decision making, because in the reactive 1v1 mechanics, we know that PVB's members have it, but it's making the right call at the right time.
Yeah, and this is just kind of the final icing on the cake, it feels like, a little bit, where you're finally still not playing around the right side of the map. You're attacking the bot lane that has a long lane behind them and a GP. So, you know, you get that first kill onto the enemy support. Great. Now the other people are collapsing. They have a better path because your turret's down, and the GP all, which will come in as well. And this was kind of the point in the game, I guess, where it was like, okay, Team Liquid are probably finally going to win after having it pretty close for a while.
Yeah, it is kind of like the last cherry on top that it was going to be a steamroll from here. And now I'm just curious, like, heading into the next game, you know, do PVB try to run that same type of draft again? Because, like, okay, they're finally going to play around Zeros. They've ignored him for 2 games. When are you finally going to go back to what has worked with you, which is your carry top laner? Right, I think that is the real question here, right? You have 2 paths in front of you. The first is to go back to game 1 strategy, in which you pick to contest maybe across the board and play towards the bot lane and match TL a little bit more 1-for-1 and just try to prove that you are better. Your other option is to play what you played here in game 2, but actually make decisions that align with, you know, the arsenal of weapons that you've armed yourself. And I don't want to spoil this. Did Team Liquid choose blue side? Blue side. Okay, so I mean, it's going to be a different draft, but now you have the red side last pick advantage, so you potentially find something top lane to try and exploit to repeat that style. But there's no way there's not a guarantee he's going to play GP again, so he can play something more stable and be like, okay, well, you can't beat us by going bot. You didn't go top enough here. Like, I don't know what you want to do. Unfortunately, I feel like, at least in this series and on this day, that if PVB start to run away with the game, it's because Team Liquid made the long call and pushed into them instead of just backing out. Because I feel like throughout this entire series, it's TL that are saying, let's fight this, let's not fight this, and their decision-making is what's lowering the variance and kind of the volatility of these matches.
And I mean, the story for Team Liquid for this whole split for them has always been like, well, we don't make the big mistake. Right. You know, they almost never make the big mistake. And so these games get a little scrappy, and we've seen this time and time again, and then the enemy team makes the big mistake, and Team Liquid just obliterates you at that point. Team Liquid, that's been their MO all season, is like, you'll get some shots in at us, but you will never beat us at 25 minutes when we're in control. And so that's what's happened 2 games in a row, and they don't seem to be making those big mistakes like Frost was saying. So it does feel like the 3rd game is a tough battle for Phong Vu. Very much so. TL has some cushion with that 2-0 lead for Phong Vu Buffalo. They got to put 3 together, just like Team Liquid did in their regional finals. Team Liquid are 1 win away from earning their spot in groups. We'll see if Phong Vu Buffalo can prevent the sweep after this.
This is what that matchup can look like.
Zeros continuing to go forward, wants one more on him. Oh, the just this time!
He leveled up!
Barely healing, my God! A game of inches on the top side. Xfinity not going to be able to land the Price Seeker. The fight has already started and kicked off. Impact has killed Talent. Meliodas in the middle of the team will just get deleted instantly. Meliodas immediately going to flash. The GPL coming in. Jensen on the backside going to continue forward. Shen trying to use Meliodas as an escape route. Will not be able to make it out. The knockout coming in just in time. Absolute destruction.
Oh, take some time. Yeah, go, connect. Oh, nice. Oh, Jensen died. Going good.
The Baron and powered minions are there. Zeros immediately eliminated. The double kill coming through for Jensen. And while it was shaky in game 1, TL have asserted absolute dominance here.
So Josh, you going for our Drive Safe and Safe discount?
Yep. Using the app, driving safe.
You wanna go? You wanna go, bro?
Hey, do not mess with my discount. You can save up to 30%.
Let's go!
Nice to meet you. Go get it, Tiger.
Sounds like you've got this.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
thank you for returning for Team Liquid versus Phong Vu Buffalo. Of course, we're on the cusp of Game 3 now. Team Liquid up 2-0, and the pressure mounts for Phong Vu Buffalo once again 6 on home soil. Yes, the format will allow them another best-of-5 if they lose here today, but qualifying in the first round of competition, the second round rather, of the play-ins would be a huge confidence boost for all of the VCS fans out there.
Yeah, it really would. And despite the fact that I think even if they fall down, they're likely favorites in the second best of 5. People are looking at Group A as this, monstrously strong group. Still, you have to realize that at the end of the day, TL and teams of those caliber are the teams you have to beat if you want to succeed in the group stage, right? So this is that level of competition that we're going to have to see them rise up to be able to really compete, even if they win the second best of 5. So I'd like to see them bounce back, like to see if they can take a game here from TL. I think they have shown some really solid performances, but Impact in particular, for me, has been such a problem for them because he's always in the side lane, playing this 4-1 style, absorbing pressure, and really kind of, I think, standing very, very strong when they are trying to attack him.
And we talked about that as being the avenue in. So when you look at this matchup from an outside perspective, you say that's the avenue, and that has completely failed. It's time to come up with some new strategies. And I think this is where it gets very difficult for PVB because, for the most part, outside of 1 or 2 games, they were pretty uncontested in the play-in group stage.
Yeah, they really were. I mean, they did have their loss to Fenerbahce. I guess one loss to the Bombers as well, but they were 5-2. They looked very dominant in most of their wins, so certainly have shown to be a very strong team, but they are dealing with a team of a higher caliber than those that they played in Group A. So they have to continually raise up that level because despite the fact that they are down 2-0, I think they have actually played quite well, right? And I think if you turn in that sort of game against any of their competition from earlier, and they're up 2-0. So, it is tough, and I would like to see them make some adjustments. I think you kind of have multiple options if you're going to try to go up against Impact. He's going to be looking to absorb this pressure, so you can either try to really go at him and punish him in lane as they have been, or you can try to match scaling with scaling, try to look to go late, pick something like a Vladimir into the gangplank instead of the Aurelia, where there's less onus to kind of dominate the lane, and be willing to scale and see how it will go in the later stages if you can get to a fight.
And while there were some, incredibly tense, incredibly close plays on the top side of the map, ultimately Zeros has not really been able to convert any kind of pick ban advantage into a significant one in the game consistently. Yes, he had some fantastic Silas team fighting in Game 1. Yes, he was very close to finding those solo kills against Impact in Game 2, but close is just not good enough. You need to build a more solid advantage. So I'm curious if we will see him depart from, more of the lane-focused carries and go from something like a Vladimir.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Jensen, another guy, though, that they really are going to be having to continually deal with. They did have counterpick in Game 1. Teal was on blue side, which I do believe they are back on in game number 3 as they have chosen that side. And we saw Null go to the LeBlanc counterpick, but really, what advantage could he get? He was very even against the Azir, and Jensen became monstrously strong in the later stages of Game 1. In Game 2, he was everywhere on the Silas, really critical in some of his roams and answering some of the plays that were made on Impact. So, Jensen's certainly a problem, but that is the difficulty when you're going up against Team Liquid or PVB. There are such strong players in every lane. Who do you attack? Where do you go? Where do you actually allocate both the resources in draft and in game?
And luckily for us, Azeo, we don't have to figure that out. That is the duty of Phong Vu Buffalo. We'll see which lane they want to attack, how they want to approach as we enter pick and bans for what very well could be the final game. TL up to match point, 2 wins ahead currently. The pick ban will be the same so far as it was in Game 1. The Aurelia, the Jarvan, the Akali would need to be the final ban if TL wanted to keep it consistent.
I'll be interested to see if PVB just full on all 3 games are triple banning Core JJ. I do think that's something that they could have tried to swap up. Yes, Core JJ is a monstrously strong player, but they have lost twice in a row when going up against him. I wouldn't be surprised if these teams had been scrimming though, so perhaps they just had no success when Core JJ was given some of these champions, and that does make some sense. But when you're talking about adjustments in pick ban, it does seem like an obvious one. Hey, maybe try to push down the solo lane, or say maybe to your opponents. That being said, if PvP are unwilling to give over that composition, they may have to make the play. We did see the answer in play-ins was Varus Blitzcrank. That could be something that they would go towards. One half of that has been locked in, but I mean, you can still go Verisona, have a very dominant 2v2. You're just so at risk of the ganks, and that is going to be the option. So Smithy now, I expect them to try to grab an early game jungler who can look to punish some of these range supports. It also is more difficult as you're going forward in the game to actually be able to play around vision, because the Sona face checking into any sort of carry can get burst down immediately. That being said, Sona is still this kind of fountain of health in the later stages of the game, and you do scale incredibly well.
Yeah, and now we might see the pick coming in here for double it. It looks like the Tristana will be locked in. How to go up against that lane. So not quite as strong early on, but something that scales very well later in the game.
And this is something that I've actually seen them play together, both the Tristana and Tarek. So you can use this actually very aggressively alongside your jungler. You actually throw your Bastion onto that Tristana, and as the Tristana jumps in on the Sona, you will throw down the Dazzle, landing the stun, landing the slow, and looking to actually burst down that Sona. So that is something that you can see them going for when Smithy comes down to help.
And now things continue to get, I think, a little bit scarier for PVB in the sense that Silas has once again been picked up by Jensen. He had a monster performance in Game 2, and when you look at the two ultimates currently available to him, he is, he's essentially, when you take the crescendo, you're Sona, but without the, without being super squishy. You can leap face first to the enemy team and throw a 5-man ult down and just win the game.
And likely with a lot more AP.
Yes.
So, that is certainly concerning. Rise going to be grabbed up here for PVB, though. This is a flex pick, could be going up to Zeros, could be down to Null. I do think that, for Zeros, that would make a lot of sense, given the style of play we have seen Impact on. If Impact wants to sit in the side lane and play 1-4, well, great. Rise can do that, too. Rise can happily match that sort of a play, so I do think that would make quite a bit of sense. PVB back again to targeting Smithy. With set 20 off the table, you think that, hey, it might be the Skarner again. Skarner certainly someone that can really prey on some of these squishy champions. If you do get ulted up by a Skarner as a Sona, you are pretty much done so.
Yeah, and I'm curious if what we're going to see the adaptation be on the side of PVB. Once again, down 2 games, the onus feels like it's on them to adapt. So far, it has been the Rise and the disruption of the Sona Taric combo. Lee Sin taken away from Meliodas. A lot of respect shown to him, and understandable if you caught the first game. Huge playmaking and some clever use of kind of fog of war to find some very opportune plays.
Yeah, definitely the case. And they may want to try to continue to take away some more of his other options. He did play a couple of Gragas games. If Smithy wants to deny that from Meliodas, that could make quite some sense. The only other champion that Meliodas played during play-in was actually Kindred, which would be available for them to grab up, but I do think that that jungle pool is going to be pretty critical here when you want to fight around that bot lane, when you want to try to punish the Sona.
And it's a difficult situation for PVB to be in, because while the Kindred is immensely powerful, Blanc will be the ban in the end, also you need to think, like, Meliodas has had his most impactful games on early game champions, and that has often been what has set the pace for PVB and helped them find wins. So Rek'Sai will now be the choice here. It's passed back to TL to round out their composition.
I think Gragas is fairly likely. We could see Smithy going another direction, if he feels he has to. There certainly are other options. You can go to things such as the Olaf, which I have mentioned a couple times. That is something that he has been pretty consistently willing to play throughout the LCS. Hecarim also works very, very well alongside the Taric. We've seen that with Sona Taric. This could be both jungle or top, but if the Akali gets locked in, we're certainly thinking it is jungle. And with Smithy sitting on Ghost, it's almost guaranteed to be that jungle Hecarim. So this is giving them some incredibly powerful hard engage. When you are looking at Hecarim, you throw over that Bastion onto him, you throw the Dazzle out as he is charging in, you drop the Taric ultimate, you now have this composition that is charging forward into PVV, invulnerable with a ton of bursts, into some very squishy, low mobility champions that have been drafted on the side of PVP. And there is only one champion that has any sort of a dash, and it's Rek'Sai has the tunnel, right? Like, that's about it.
And PVB now opting to fight fire with fire, putting the cannon in on the top side of the map. You want AoE CC, both teams now have the potential to provide it. And huge, huge game. Impact, though, has incredible ults to pick from across the entire team outside of the Rise. And yeah, this is going to feel like, to me at least, early game is where I'm looking.
Yeah, I mean, Cannon ult, Sona ult, Varus ult, those are all game-changing abilities that you are potentially gifting over to Impact. So that is very, very scary. At the same time, I do favor PVB's early game. If you do get that bot lane protected, if you have that in a pure 2v2, Sona and Varus are very oppressive. That is a tremendous amount of poke for this, Taric Tristana bot lane to actually deal with. And likewise, Rek'Sai should be running the show early against the Hecarim. Rise has fantastic gank assistance. So there's certainly the ability to play around mid to try to punish Jensen, perhaps, to try to punish Smithy even in his own jungle in the 1v1.
And this so far in this series, when we first came into the day, we thought all eyes would be on top lane. It was Impact versus Zeros. That's where we thought PVB might be able to find an advantage. Impact has been stalwart. He has been unshaken This man will not be stopped on the top side, even losing in CS in some matchups, still able to impact the game. So, PVB change up their strategy, or will Zeros once again be the benefactor of so much attention on the top side of the map? A lot of avenues for both teams to attack here, but pressure is on for Phong Buffalo. They have the early game jungler, and they are on the cusp of being knocked down to round 3 tomorrow.
And for them, you have to feel like if they cannot get anything going, if they cannot protect this Sona in those early stages, then the ability to snowball the game, the ability to hard engage around neutral objectives for TL is very, very high with Hecarim in addition to that territory.
Of course, once again, we get into what very well could be the final game. TL 2 points up. Pallet, incredibly squishy. He has been an all-star for this team. Galley performance in game 1 looking really good. This is the first time we're seeing him on a less tanky option. You have to wonder, if we get late enough, is he just going to get deleted at the start of every fight, or can he find a way to impact these fights safely from a distance?
And you've also got to be so curious, how prepared were they to actually play out this style of game? So Impact is actually leveled as E. Doublelift is trying to bait someone over here potentially to try to get the abscond abduct on him. They're not going to be able to do it. So how many times have they actually practiced Sona support bot lanes, you know, as an answer to the Taric? Because I have not really seen a lot of people willing to kind of handshake that. You know, generally people say if you give up the Taric, well then you have to give up the Sona because the Sona is too risky by herself.
And if we exist in a pure 2v2 on the bottom side, Sona is miserable to play against. We've all had it in solo queue, but the second a jungler gets added to the mix, the 3v3 is just not favored. Sona's so incredibly squishy. You can see not going for Ignite, not going for anything aggressive, has the exhaust, has a defensive option, matched as well by Core DJ. Again, we will, I think, have a game where they are going to opt leash. They're trying to give Smithy a super leash here. Looks like they will be starting the red buff as well as the Raptors here. Keeping both going, just trying to funnel XP into Smithy. Although he's going to get the reset on the camp, that's tragic.
So I think this actually may have been somewhat planned to try to get the Little Raptor at the same time. I'm not quite certain, but perhaps this is something where he's not fully going to clear out that second camp. And because he actually has the Hunter's Talisman, he has the AoE lifesteal applied to all those Little Raptors. So despite the fact that it resets, it's still actually much faster than had he done red into Raptors. So I still think this is, you know, fairly successful. I'm not certain if you could have done it without it leashing at all, but that was a very quick level 2. And it does look like he's kind of off to the races already.
Now going to be able to get the bot side Scuttlecrab. Rek'Sai taking a very defensive path on the top side, going for the fast level 3, and Hecarim poised to isolate the bottom side of the map if he wants to push in and take away some of these jungle camps, and that's going to be very difficult for PVB. We've already talked about how vulnerable this Sona can be, especially when jungle attention is on the table.
That definitely is the case, but Smithy will have to be careful about actually running into the Rek'Sai, and he's going to look mid.
Point-click snare has already been used. Red buff ticking, almost like we're going to have to flash to safety. But Meliodas is here. They're giving him that respect.
Yeah, and I think without him at level 3, you know, he wanted to be careful anyway, but look at that leap in. That is the combo I was talking about. You use the Bastion Dazzle, you jump on the Sona's head, and the flash is used immediately. Pallet's got to be careful.
Taking a lot of damage here. Dazzle will be up shortly, and double up to Core JJ now in total control of the lane. Pallet was going to have to play so far back just to survive without the flash.
Now, the other nice thing about that little gank for Smithy is not only does it get some pressure, you know, removed, but he actually does leech experience for level 3. He's got to be careful here against Meliodas, though.
Now knocking back Meliodas. They're fighting on top of the blue buff. Good damage is going to come in, but he manages to get the smite. Conqueror has now been proc. Jensen going over the wall. Meliodas flash out. No, they're trying to find the kill onto Smithy. Meliodas is going to be in trouble. Moving in. Impact, though, coming down. First blood now trading 1-for-1. Kennen is here as well, but it's not going to have enough immediate burst damage to stop this from going down. Jensen now going to go and has the red buff extended. Double kill for Jensen. Double kill for the Akali in the mid lane.
Oh, that goes so well for Team Liquid. They are first to collapse. 2 kills on the Akali and the double buffs to boot for Jensen is massive against this Ryze. Smithy playing that very well to actually delay with the Ghost. Look at him actually kiting around, avoiding Meliodas, then goes back in. He's able to land the smite, secure the blue buff, get the heal off of that. And then Jensen flashing over, you know, pushing Null back a little bit here, trying to block for him. Impact comes down with the flash, abscond, abduct. They're able to knock down Null here as well. He waits till the passive shield expires, then goes back in with the shuriken flip there to pick up another kill. And he is already sitting on that Hextech revolver, which is such a strong laning item here. Jensen off to a fantastic start.
And normally Null might have hoped to threaten him, but the closer he gets to that Hextech gunblade, the harder it's going to get. Now you can see with the double buffs, feeling so confident just to step forward here. It's only going to get harder. And once again, our attention has to shift to the bottom lane, ready at a moment's notice for anything to go down. Still a flashless Sona. She has the exhaust, but Xmithie trying to make an impact into the mid lane. Null going to be knocked back. Jensen with the red buff. Needs a chance to apply it. Will not get it yet. Good bit of damage, though. Imagine he'll go back under the tower, but Jensen just absolutely smashing in that exchange. Meliodas waiting, hoping to find someone overextended, but standing right on a ward.
I mean, these are just great ganks from Xmithie. You're just applying pressure, right? We just see Null TP back the lane. Well, guess what? Now you're down to half HP. You have to expend those health potions, and Meliodas, they're going to use this as well to try to go for that scuttle, but the bot lane from PVB has gotten some pressure going, and they are going to be the ones to roam up. Remember, again, if you cannot all in the Sona, and if you don't have your jungler there, they will poke you out, they will out-sustain you, so Double Lift here has to be careful, they missed the sun.
Forward, a bit of a fumble there on the dazzle. Core JJ with a slight mistime. Jensen now in trouble as well. The burst damage is so much from Null. He's going to grab those double buffs, thank you very much. Xmithie, though, now going to look for the turn on the bottom side. Core JJ, no flash. Double Lift, though, has his as well as the rocket jump. Where's the dazzle going to go? Manages to connect on the Pallet. He's coming in on the backside. Pallet's still alive for now. They are going to be able to take him down. That's one kill picked up. Zeros here, but only a level 5 cannon. Not going to pose much of a threat whatsoever. Can they keep the play going? Lethal Temple proc from Big Koro. Zeros only going to be there to push out the way. Bit of a mistake, it feels like there. But the level 6 coming in perfectly timed. Zeros can't go for the dive. They have to execute this perfectly. Double buff on the rise. Level 6 from the cannon. He's going to get the fight kicked off. Poor JJ immediately going to get taken down. Flash out from Zeros. One again. A stun on a double if he jumps back to safety. But that's 2 immediately picked up by PVB. They turn that play right on its head.
PVB doing such a good job of the battle back. Now they want to continue the dive onto Xmithie here.
Extending it. The ghost now coming up from Xmithie. Null trying to chase him down, but enough movement speed from the Hecarim to ferry him to safety.
Yeah, he is able to get out of there, but honestly, very good string of plays for PVB. Not only did they get the shutdown on Jensen, who, kind of punished for using that Shroud so aggressively. When he doesn't have it, Meliodas comes over, they kill him, then Null and Zeros both down to that bot lane to get them going, and it's a CS advantage, it's an experience advantage, and the kill went on to Big Koro, so they're going to be feeling really good about their situation in this 2v2 again. Here is Jensen. He has no Shroud. He had already used it aggressively, so they punished him for that timing window, taking him out. They knew he had no flash, no ultimate to escape. Then down here on the bottom side, the initial teleport from Zeros did not look like it was going to get much done, but he hit 6 off the minions. Null has moved on down. In he goes with the ultimate, connecting on both Xmithie and Core JJ. They knock down Core JJ first. Zeros walks out after taking a number of turret shots there. That was a clean dive from PVB.
And it was fumbles in the previous game that cost them so much, but this time around they're prepared, the execution there, and it looked like a very unfortunate TP. It turns into so much now for this team. 600 gold lead for PVB. Things are still a bit difficult. Impact was able to grab 2 plates on the top side in the meantime, but now it's Xmithie. Meliodas taking a chance to reset a little bit. Meliodas, though, with the level advantage, and Impact trying to capitalize on the lack of cannon all here, going all in on this play, but the Rek'Sai is coming in as well. Zero's now going to retreat back to the safety of his junglers. Impact needs to play smart. If Kenny can stay at range, he's not going to have the opportunity to get the kill. Thrown down. A lot of C and sustain here on the sides. The play continues forward, and Impact will just be able to back away.
The Impact drawing that pressure up there is able to calmly walk it out, and at the same time, they will grab the Ocean Dragon. So very well played there by Impact. Likely could have had the kill had Meliodas not made the move up. Zeros does now have his flash, or sorry, rather his ultimate doesn't have his flash, and the flash was not available for Meliodas either, so he cannot get the kill on his own. This certainly is going to help out TL quite a bit to grab that Ocean Dragon, but Pallet has his flashback, so Sona's going to be harder to target, and it is now level 6 on the Varus, so when you have 6 on Varus and Sona, that is a very strong all-in potentially. You can crowd control up, double lift or Core JJ, and potentially burst them down before Tarek actually hits 6 himself.
See where the Cosmic Radiance can keep them alive. Pallet getting level 6 as well will be important, but Meliodas making his way to the bottom side of the map. Rek'Sai, the execution potential. The fight kick is kicked off by that Varus ultimate is going to be massive.
Yeah, it would be really big. And they're kind of sneaking his way down around here, but Impact is punishing Zeros pretty heavily for that TP. So remember, Zeros TP bottom lane, and that whole time, Impact's just working away on the turret. So despite the fact that he did get a kill off of it, he's actually down in gold in that 1v1 because he has lost 4 turret plates. So Meliodas now here around the mid lane. Jensen likely has Shroud available. Yes, he does, as you can see in the bottom left of your screen. So you can't really go for that gank very effectively unless the Shroud is down. And in the meantime, Xmithie just power farming. He is trying to get levels, trying to get experience on this Hecarim, and that is going to set him up for success later on.
Still willing to give a blue buff, the energy regen over to Jensen, though. Team player, Xmithie to the end.
Yeah, and I mean, Jensen has had an incredible series, right? He's been monstrous in both the 2 games. He does have 2 early kills, so despite the mistake allowing a shutdown, he's still in a great position. You want to try to enable him to threaten an all-in here against Null.
Null grabbing the blue buff too, so I think the mid lane is set for a decent amount of action, but Smithy now trying to find a gank on the top side. Will at least clear out this control ward. Offer a bit of support for impact. Zeros is still able to just harass so much with this cannon on the top side of the map though.
Yeah, and playing Klepto, you know, has kind of kept gold pretty close, despite losing all those turret plates, and now Meliodas looking for Smithy.
Showing Smite traded back and forth, ulti's coming in, Rek'Sai ulti comes out, but now he can respond in kind. Impact can use his, Meliodas not so incredibly low, goes under, comes up, and Meliodas still alive. The whole team is now in the middle of the play. Jensen gonna grab 1 kill, Smithy caught between Null and Zeros though.
Smithy's dodging in a lot.
So much has been dodged down, as said. Now Null backing off, Jensen going to try to find the kill here. So much burst damage coming in from McCall, not able to punch the passive quite yet. Needs to step back if he wants to get it. Will they continue the play? Zeros alive and well, but Impact once the Kingslayer comes back up, not gonna get the chance. Just enough damage. Jensen, will he go back into play? He's gonna go for it, tries to find it, goes golden. Zeros is going to need to back off. They need to time everything perfectly. Jensen now in trouble. Null stepping forward, but the side steps are there. Shroud not enough. Null finds him invisible and will grab the kill.
Yeah, Jensen getting greedy there, trying to go back in, just barely not able to take down Zeros. And does get punished as Shroud came back up, but Null nails him with that Q. And here's the play again. Smithy down a level. You're not going to win this duel against the Rek'Sai, but he has the earlier roam here for Impact. But Meliodas does a good job buying a lot of time. He goes in the ultimate to avoid a lot of the early damage, then healing up some with his passive. They do fly forward and actually burst him out, but that's the ultimate now down from Jensen. Smithy dodging out a lot of those Qs from Rise, doing a good job avoiding some of that damage, makes this very close, but the passive shielding from Null was so huge, and Zeros ahead in health there means that they're not quite able to finish the stock. Jensen now waiting for the Shroud cooldown. That is why he delayed so long. In with the Q, barely not able to kill the cannon off. Then Shroud comes back up, but he does get finished off, and PVB coming out very ahead.
Ooh, Impact next on the menu, but the Shuriken not able to connect, cannot find the stun, and Impact able to walk away. Zeros burning his flash for nothing there. Now they have to be careful. A lot of damage coming in from Jensen. The TP back out to safety, but the Urako Sun is there. He's gonna need to find the 2v1. Big Core now in trouble as well. Double up going in for the kill, gonna look for the reset, gets it on the rocket jump. Pallet next on the list if they try to dive the Sona. No ultimate available, but the flash is there for Pallet. Goes golden, buys a bit of time as Double up is forced to retreat. Smithy gonna grab that one as well. Blood across the map, but everything going in favor of Team Liquid.
Yeah, it all just kind of fell apart there for PVB. They had made so many great plays for themselves, despite the fact that Jensen started out with 2 early kills. They had to really shut him down. Null had picked up 5 straight kills. Now their bot lane gets dove, dies, they're losing the plates. Jensen gets 2 more kills. They lose nothing across the map. And TL just got so much in this last minute of the game. So here it is one more time. Impact finding Meliodas over by that. Steals the cannon ultimate, getting so much damage down, delaying a lot of time as well. He just straight up 1v2 kills Meliodas, bursting him down with the cannon's own ult, then using the Kingslayer to finish it off, and now Null trying to make the roam up. But Impact just gets out of there. The Q didn't miss from Zeros. He retreats. Jensen moves down. Null TPing in the face of an Akali. Come on, you know he has a stun, and Jensen's able to easily execute on that. Impact healing up, dodging out. And Jensen gets that one, and now it's another fight.
Comes out, but they've been locked in the pit. Impact has a Soda ult of his own. He can jump right in the middle and throw it down onto the team. Double up here to fire to rain hell from the backside, but Jensen is zoning off the 2 solo laners by himself. TL pushing the entire team out of the pit.
Yeah, and this one is just going all wrong for PVB now. With this sort of lead, you have to think this is the game where TL can close out this series. PVB is going to need some monstrous playmaking to get back into this one, because when you fall behind, it's so easy to execute the all-in from the side of Team Liquid. Hecarim ult, Taric ult, everyone diving forward, so many squishy immobile targets to pick from. And TL is massively ahead in the goal at this point of the game. We're not even at 14 minutes. The plates are just now falling, and they are 3.5k ahead.
And Jensen now fearlessly entering the play. They know that the sun's already been burned. Null is going to be able to walk away. Jensen, though, taking a step back, using the second proc of the ultimate to make it out. Null has to be scared. The strongest individual member of his team, most certainly. Jensen completely unafraid in that mid lane matchup.
Yeah, I mean, he has 5 kills of his own, so he's looking good in that 1v1, despite the fact that Null is doing very well. And Pala has got to be so careful. Double just went back to base, spent up. He's on 1.5 items, IE plus the Zeal and Zerkers. means he can knock down a lot of these squishy members in a couple autos. And there's not really any tanky stats whatsoever that are being purchased up by them. This is a Warrior Rek'Sai. Everyone is full on squishy. As long as Impact and Smithy can create kind of the zone of threat alongside Jensen in a Shroud, it's so hard for PvP to move forward. And if Double is free firing on any of them, they're going to die so fast.
Smithy pushing into the enemy jungle, now threatening as well. And the thing that you don't even mention there that's so important is, well, Impact's about to try to solo kill Meliodas. We'll throw down the ultimate. Immediately the Cannon ult is going to respond, though. Impact has probably overstayed his welcome here. Is just going to be the 1-for-1 on the ult trade. Meliodas set to give his life now as another kill gets traded back. Which is the 1-for-1 in the end.
Yeah, not too bad. I would say, it's probably worth it with the Dragon up, because it now means that PvP can actually challenge for that Dragon. Because not only did he kill off the jungler, he got the ult out of Zeros. So you cannot take a 4v4 team fight when your Cannon has no ultimate. This means you're going to see not only the Dragon, you're going to give up the turret. You have Jensen pushing on that top side of the map, and it's all just falling apart now for PvP. It's going to be up, it feels like, to Null to really make something happen. He is their lone strong member. Everyone else is falling pretty significantly behind at this point in the game.
And really at this stage, with this much of a lead, it feels so incredibly difficult for PvP to come back. And I think the one thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about when you're breaking down how far this team's ahead is that the Tara call wasn't even factored in there yet. So even if TL are starting a fight, they are most likely starting it with that Tower ult to support, and it's almost impossible for Rek'Sai, as you said, with all burst damage to get anything done in that 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, you're going to have to hope that you can catch TL split up. If you can catch someone out with a CC, maybe an engage with a Varus ultimate or something along those lines. If you can burst them down before they actually get over to the rest of their team, that would be great. But it is going to be very difficult if you cannot get the forward vision to actually set up those sorts of picks. In a straight up front to back 5v5, both teams see each other and run at each other. TL is going to win 9 times out of 10. So for PvP, they have to kind of change the paradigm a little bit here. Be able to look for these plays that TL are not expecting, be able to come at them from multiple angles, and look for picks in the side lane just like this, which is, I think, a smart way to try to attack them. But unless Jensen spends the Shroud for trading, it's so hard to take him down.
Yeah, the Shroud is supposed to be ultimate. There's a lot of good chances between the Rise and the Rek'Sai, but Jensen has so much mobility as well as the stealth. When Akali is not innately super squishy, it just feels nigh impossible to take him down. Meliodas though stepping forward, Shroud does come out. Tremor Sense will give him a loose sense of where the Akali is. Jensen though just going to back away. Has the option to jump back to the Shroud. Can't do so, but instead we'll just expend both ult charges to move down towards the mid lane. So good dodge on the gank.
Yep, does expend the ultimate, so no kill threat for a little bit, but at the same time, they got mid lane turret. They take away the entire side of the jungle as well from Meliodas, so certainly going to be punished for that attempt. Impact pushing up. He's already on his proto belt, working towards what is likely a Ludens, so a very aggressive build here from Impact, and he has stolen away a Cannon ult. He's level 11, so that does mean it's rank 2 now that he is taking from Zeros. Just basically has a better version of Zeros' ult.
Yeah, Zeros, frustrating situation to be in. He was able to use that range advantage so much early on to bully out to get those Klepto stacks. Now that he's put in a difficult situation with no information where the jungler is, he just has to back away. Tough how much this is shifted. Once again, Phong Buffalo, home soil, match point. The pressure is on, and it feels like they're going to have to dig so incredibly deep to find a way back into the game, because now that TL have a lead, now that they've broken these outer towers, we're right back to seeing what they did in K1, which is the slow, all closeout, where they just take every single resource they can for PvP.
And there's just so many people in front of Doublelift, so many ways to protect Doublelift, and he's on an incredibly strong scaling champion, 2,000 gold ahead of Big Toro, and that is, monumental task for PvP to try to get back into. But we need to see PvP continue to fight for vision, as Pallet is doing now, try to look for picks, try to find their way in. The Baron is not even on the table just yet, so they don't have to worry about that for a couple minutes, but that certainly is going to be an area of the map that TL want to take full control over. They want to set a vision in this area, because the Baron is going to give them such an easy way to end the game through the Tristana siege.
The Tristana already at 2 items, may just go for the QSS next to keep herself alive. Which has a lot of protection. Pallet, I think they were ready to fish for a play over the wall on a double before JJ in the mid lane, but it is spotted out. Good vision in the jungle going to pay off. Smithy just constantly stepping forward and threatening. Will bait the chilling smite. Double premier access there to the mid lane.
fire side of the jungle as well from Meliodas, so certainly going to be punished for that attempt. Impact pushing up. He's already on his... So if PVB is not together, they gotta be careful.
Impact now stepping forward, uses the stolen crescendo. One traded back in return. Rek'Sai goes down, but immediately the Torgal now gonna come out. Impact. Has a lot of protection. Pallet. I think they were ready to fish for a play wall on a double support JJ in the mid lane, but it is spotted out. The vision in the jungle going to pay off. Smithy just constantly stepping forward and threatening. We'll bait the chilling smite. Double Premier access there to the mid lane. We'll step up and get a few autos down. So TL taking their time here, but the bot side of the map is being pinged out. PVB need to be able to respond. And I feel like TL... Water wants to find this play. Safe in the shroud for now. No ultimate for the Akali, but Double is not afraid to step forward. Impact is here as well. Steals the Barov's ultimate. They are going to get absolutely routed. TL are looking for a slaughter. There's going to be another reset. Double go right over the wall. Can continue to chase down PVB if he wants to. Instead, we'll take the time to back. Off instead, they set their sights on the Baron. They want to take the free objective.
Exactly. It's going to be the counter Baron now for TL. I respect the play. That was a play to win for PVB. They are not going to take the small victory. They know they're massively behind. They needed to take a risk. They go for it, but they do get pushed off the Baron, and it is now 100% going to be TL's. They will secure this. They have a massive gold lead and everything they need to close this one out.
Baron 7k gold to sale. We look back at this and it looks so good for PVB.
Yeah, so Impact goes in. Pallet was so quick on the counter ultimate. Both
incredibly deep to find a way back into the game.
They go for it, but they do get pushed off the Baron, and it is now 100% going to be TL's. They will secure this. They have a massive gold lead and everything they need to close this one out.
Baron 7k gold to sale. We look back at this and it looks so good for PVB.
Yeah, so Impact goes in. Pallet was so quick on the counter ultimate. Both Piccolo and Pallet flash backwards, and they get the counter ult out. So Impact is pushed.
World of make-believe, kids scream.
between. They essentially have the shorter route between those two tiers.
Everyone on that back line. You've got the Silas as well, you've got the Akali, you've got even Double who's far enough ahead to leap in aggressively, and it feels like that back line is not safe, and there's not really a front line. Pretty much everyone is a back line.
It's all these squishy members, and that's why it's about catching someone, bursting them down. But they don't have the Varus ultimate. They do have the Sona ultimate as well as that from the Kennen, but they don't have flashes on any of their members right now, so it's hard to see how they could get back to Doublelift, who does have both his ult and flash. He did expend the QSS on the Varus ultimate earlier, but still going to be very tough to get back to that Tristana, and without being able to do so, it's tough to see how they win an extended fight.
For Big Koro, impressed that he feels even comfortable approaching that tower. Zero's continuing to struggle. Impact has now stolen the Kennen ult as well, so the dive threat is real. Banshees is there for Zeros, but there is no stopwatch.
And without a stopwatch, you certainly can be turned on and focused down. They do take a lot of damage, and there's so much burst on the side of TL. I think for PVB, they really want to wait for flashes. It feels like for them to win a fight, you have to hope that you can find some sort of a flanking ward. You can find some sort of a way into that back line.
And Smithy just threatening there with the devastating charge, trying to lay down a bit of damage with that Sheen-empowered auto onto the tower. But TL struggling really to break down. Tristana really their only strong source of sieging, lacking a really strong front line themselves as well.
Yeah, they definitely are, but at the same time, these turrets are all getting whittled away on. They are farming out the entire PVB jungle. You can see that the gold lead is just extending during this. They are now almost 10,000 gold ahead, and they are threatening on that bottom side.
Now trying to turn it back. Tark just now getting the chance to ultimate. Will they kill core JJ before it comes down? No, he's still alive. Impact on the front line, buying time for Doublelift to back off. Smithy ready to go in. Jensen now running back to the mid lane. Gonna may try to get more damage down onto the tower. Arrow comes out, but not a lot of damage. PVB holding on, but forced to use that Kennen ulti. TL may just try to rinse and repeat here. Only level 14 for Silas, but he can steal another ulti soon.
Yeah, the three-man squad gonna back off. They will retreat likely to this dragon, so PVB do weather the storm. They keep their inhibitors alive. These inhibitor towers are very, very low for them, but they're not gonna get cracked. They are still, though, falling more and more behind as far as the gold goes, and TL gonna grab a second ocean, which can help in those protracted siege situations.
And just only gets harder for PVB, right? The gold lead continuing to extend. Yes, they can still hope for that dream fight, but Tark going to be able to go back by a redemption. Does not have exhaust, but still has the flash. Will have the Cosmic Radiance soon.
And honestly, you know, for TL, this is about more than just this series. This whole tournament for them is kind of about redemption, trying to get some redemption for last year and their performance at MSI, where they did fall short in the tiebreaker against Fnatic, where there was turmoil amongst the team with Ole stepping down and feeling like, hey, they're underperforming, they're not able to match the expectations. TL has been retooled, rebuilt with international success as their goal. They have brought in Core JJ, they have brought in Jensen, and they are trying to work towards that. A 3-0 here would be the first step towards redeeming themselves for last year, towards performing better at an international tournament. And for Doublelift, trying to make it out of groups for the first time, he has been unable to do so despite having so much regional success.
And Doublelift has been very candid about his goal to find international success, but for now Jensen is going to be in trouble, does go golden, nullify some of those ultimates there, and we'll just be able to back out. Jensen, I think, just fishing for the play, and Impact in the meantime is going to be able to break down this tower and fish for an inhibitor as well. For TL, just putting down a bit of pressure as they set up for this Baron. PVB may have one final fight on their hands. Null now trying to find the option to go in. Impact needs to be careful here. The flash out. Sconn will be available shortly. Can dash again to try to get to safety. And Team Liquid will now take that as an opportunity to push out the mid lane and pressure out on this Baron.
Yeah, nice little roam from Null to the side lane. Does trade his ultimate for a flash, but Impact showing a lot of respect there. Does not want to get caught off before the Baron does spawn. Even more pressure being put, though, in this side lane, and he will reset, regroup with the team. Now has a full Zonias. A lot of these guys sitting on 3+ items.
All of PVB are here, however. Smithy's going to be able to walk away quite easily. Jensen, though, has to burn the flash to get to safety. Impact still coming in, has the TP. If they want to push for a greater play, that bottom lane inhibitor open right now.
This marksman difference is just so enormous at this point in the game, though. You can look at the itemization, 2.5 items there for Big Koro. Doublelift, a full item really ahead. He's up over 4,000 gold and is going to put out so much more damage than his opponent. The turn off of Baron could be very strong here for TL if they can coordinate on it. Jensen is laying in wait. He wants to look for a flank.
Trying to find the option. Xmithie going to open up with the ult. Melio just goes golden, but the whole team is there to punish. For now, they are just backing off, taking away the Banshees Veil, playing it slow, stealing the Cannon ult away. Level 15 on Impact.
And that is both the flash off Pallet and Null. So that is how they avoided that Xmithie ult. But now, they still have the threat of TL onto this Baron, and Jensen still threatening to turn and fight. Taric ultimate is still available here for TL, but Xmithie is taking a lot of damage on the Baron, so they have to be somewhat careful about that.
Come backing off. Core JJ with a decent amount of healing, but would have to step into the pit to heal it up, but immediately Impact jumps in. Out comes the stolen Cannonball ultimate, and Pallet will drop. Very well could be the final fight. Abscond, Abduct not going to connect. Whole team healing up as they push forward. The Shroud comes in as well. Jensen's going to leap forward. They're going to try to take down Null. Double lift as well. Zeros is ulting, but not on the members he needs to hit. They've gone golden. The Cosmic Radiance is everything that they needed. Big Koro knockback. Double continue to clean up. Him and Jensen running through the enemy team. One more reset on the jump. Double lift wants the triple. He's pushing in for a little bit more impact here as well. Team Liquid in one final explosive fight may have just won the series.
Yeah, it looks like they've done it here. They're going to close this one out 3-0 over PVB. Fighting valiantly around that Baron, but TL too many ways in for the engage. They run out of summoners, and TL finds their fight and will take the series.
Zos coming out, focusing on the Nexus. TL dominate PVB on home soil, and they will qualify for the MSI main stage.
Definitely a very exciting series, but Team Liquid certainly in control throughout this one. Extremely dominant final game. PVB had a small glimpse of hope there where they could have perhaps gotten the Baron, but they are pushed off, and that really was, it felt like their final chance in this series as Team Liquid had answers for what PVB were trying to do at every turn. They were playing the map better. They were laning even, very, very well. And it's tough for PVB, but they need to keep their heads high and focus on the fact that there is one more best of 5 for them to get into groups.
And I think when you look back on this for all of TL, this is a good sign for the LCS fans out there to dominate 3-0 in this fashion, to look good. After game 1, when there were maybe a few question marks, to close so confidently as a team, fans going up for the high fives, and can't blame them. You brought up Double Lift earlier. It's a career, covered in domestic success, but has never been able to find it on an international stage. Now with Jensen, now with Core JJ, a guy that the team has called, their anchor, their rock. They're looking very good, especially up against PVB.
Yeah, they definitely are, and I think for Team Liquid, it's been kind of and for Double Lift, a build towards that international success. I do think that last year, despite his team's failings, I think he had his best international showings at MSI and Worlds. Individually, he looked very strong. They have rebuilt this team, and they're trying to go far in this tournament. We'll see if they're going to be able to do it, but they have made groups so far.
Yeah, qualified to the main stage. Well, to hear how Team Liquid earned their spot in group, let's send it back to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you, Dracos. Team Liquid in 3-0 fashion will head back to the MSI group stages looking for redemption after last year's showing. But let's talk about that 3-0. It was predicted, and they were very much considered to be favorites in this matchup against PVB. This third game was all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see it coming. You have a Taric Sona getting split up, which is already a little weird. Then you have a Kali Silas on the same team. You're like, this will probably turn into a pretty scrappy game.
Yeah, it was very skirmish heavy. I do want to say that I'm happy to see the Akali come out. One of the concerns that I had for TL coming into this tournament was their ability to flex picks like the Akali and the Aurelia through multiple positions, Jace as well. And so to see Jensen have the confidence to grab the Akali and then very early on start picking up some kills, I was like, okay, it's clear that TL, they've shifted their dynamic. They're here to play. They know what the other top teams at this tournament are going to be bringing to draft.
And we were talking a little bit about how a lot of these other top teams are more top lane focused, and I think, Impact could have been targeted more in terms of junglers going up, but in the 1v1s he did pretty well most of the time, and had a huge play there on the Silas, and over the course of the whole game actually made a lot of very, very big plays.
You mentioned Jensen. We'll have the opportunity to hear from him in just a few moments with a quick interview, but I do want to keep hammering home on this idea of TL and how they might kind of evolve throughout the tournament. Again, if they want to perform against some of these other top teams, the ones already waiting for them in the group stage, I do think, as you mentioned, Frost, flex picks, power picks between solo lanes in particular is going to be something key to their success, but hasn't been key to their identity all year long.
And for me, it was, again, going to be a gut check for Impact in particular. I thought he had a great playoffs, but could he transition that? Could he carry it over into this type of competition? And frankly, Zeros is probably going to be the easiest top laner that he has in front of him. Now he's got the likes of Khan, Wonder, and again, the Shy that are waiting for him on that main stage. And from this, we saw what? Silas, Jace, and GP. So obviously diversifying his champion pool. A little bit of old, some of the new coming through, but looking clean.
Yeah, and I think overall, Team Liquid, you can say they have adapted to the meta that we've seen so far, at least. They seem to be playing the same meta as everyone else. This series, though, not necessarily the cleanest thing. I mean, even that Baron attempt you saw a little bit earlier on, the replay was off of a bad fight around mid lane that they took, and there were a number of those really skirmishy, scrappy fights, and it was something that sometimes happened to Team Liquid where they get kind of pulled into the enemy's game, and this definitely felt like that because this was super fast-paced game all series long.
And I don't want to give like a free pass to TL because there are obviously things that you can tighten and clean up here, but I don't think that there's much to take away or indicative of this type of best of 5. Like we saw at Worlds, Cloud9 and G2 both started in play-ins. Both of them went the distance in their play-ins best of 5s. It didn't look great, but that didn't mean anything in the long run. So I think if you're a fan and you're looking at TL right here and you're ready to write them off because, yeah, it was a 3-0, but it wasn't the cleanest 3-0, I actually think you just throw it out. This is a type of thing where this is a warm-up game, shake off the rust, you now have stage experience, and start judging them when they come to groups.
Right, if anything, that's what you should be, you know, kind of resting on. The idea that at least they've gotten out there on the stage, got a few games under their belt, have the opportunity to test some of those things that they've clearly been working on behind the scenes. We talk about Impact and his 3 unique champions across the 3 games in this series. In particular, this 3rd game here, he will pick up player of the game for his performance in this one.
And it's spawned a really interesting, fun pick to watch. The Silas, he had a lot of scraps early on, all the way back to the start with the blue buff, like level 2 fight that he was involved in numerous times in the top lane. I think he is someone that will be kind of the new target for a lot of Team Liquid's opponents, whereas before it might have been Pobelter, potentially Ole, those kinds of things. Now this feels like the guy that a lot of people are going to target, and he stood up very well in his first test.
And I think while we talk about, you know, TL, the success that they had here today, and the fact that they're moving on to the group stage, we cannot forget that for Phong Vu Buffalo, it does not end here. Yes, it is called the knockout stage, but you have 2 lives. You get to lose 1 best of 5 and move on to the next one tomorrow. We do not know who their opponent is yet, but taking a look at this series kind of holistically, what would we like Phong Vu to walk away with in mind when looking towards that best of 5?
I saw like the back raise,
the recoil,
don't
all right, let it loose, Frost.
Do not betray Saros. Like, yeah, Saros hasn't had the best tournament. He hasn't been putting up those big scorelines, but if you watch what he's doing, how he's controlling the wave, when he's playing weak side,